I think.
You'll be all right.
What's happening? Oh, I didn't.
Hey, thank you so much. Hey, appreciate y'all. Come back soon. Yes. Yep.
All right, there we go. Get back to this real quick. Come on, baby. All right, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate your patience. Your boy Jay Banks. It's Tuesday,
Hey.
2024.
2024.
Can
We're
you
here.
believe we're already here?
I cannot believe it. I feel like 2023 flew by.
Yeah.
It's like the fastest year that I've experienced in recent years for sure. Those last few years have been, I feel like it took forever to get there. 2023, I felt like we were halfway through before we knew it, and then the holidays came, and now we're here.
Yeah, holidays just flew by, dude.
Dude, really?
Halloween felt like it was here and gone.
Yep.
Thanksgiving and then Christmas. It's like when you don't get that snow before Christmas, it doesn't feel right. You know, because
Yeah.
like after Christmas, at least for me, it's like, all right, now I'm ready for spring.
Right.
You know, but January and February are always the coldest months of the year. So it's like, damn, dude, we still have to wait.
Yeah, we
You know what I mean?
got snow on Halloween, and then there hasn't been much snow since.
Yeah.
There hasn't been snow. Like, I guess that's why the holidays probably flew by, because there wasn't snow to deal with. There wasn't any indicator of it being the holiday. You know what I mean? At least
Right.
for us, this part
Yeah.
of the world, snow happens usually, but no white Christmas this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
right. Well, we got a good podcast today,
We
man.
do.
I've been waiting to talk with you guys because for my own, self satisfaction. Thank you.
Got you.
Because of the HYPERCOLOR stuff. So a lot of people don't know. In the 90s, there was a company called HYPERCOLOR. They were made by a company called Genera, and they were color changing T-shirts. I've got one on right now.
Very cool.
So yeah, so it's actually like with heat. So check this out. So once you blow heat on it, it changes colors, right? And they made a lot of money in the 90s. And like 1991 was like when they first kind of hit it big. They went bankrupt in 94, but in 1993, in the second quarter, they made $53 million, like just within the 4-month period.
Yeah, say just a few months, right?
Yeah, and that was like no internet, no Facebook, no Googling it. It was like get your ass to the mall and go to merry-go-round to buy it, right?
Right.
So there was a lapse in some trademark issues, and I actually in 2012 or 2010 I acquired the trademarks to HYPERCOLOR. So I started creating the product, creating the brand. I made the website, and then got sued by the original law firm that bought the trademarks from Genera when they went bankrupt. So it's been
It's quite a story too.
yeah, it is, man, and that's one of the big reasons why HYPERCOLOR isn't here is because it's owned by a law firm that doesn't know how to do the technology or doesn't know how to use the technology.
They're just holding on to the name.
The trademark, yeah,
Yeah.
and they don't want to give it out either. Like when we were in the lawsuit, we were trying to come up with some resolution where we'll give you an X amount of every shirt sold. And they were just so mad that some kid from Kentucky stole their Easter egg that they were like, no, not going to happen.
They were outwitted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they filed the trademark in New York, and I wasn't able to keep the money going to fight it, so I had to lose the trademark. But it's never come back, so that's like the main thing, man. So I've been wanting to talk to you guys a while about it, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions that people want to ask since we have some lawyers on anyways.
Yeah. Very excited.
But
about this episode,
without
man.
any further ado,
Let's get it.
yeah, and this isn't Family Guy, right?
It's not. It's not. But it's
It's
can be.
Modern
What do
Family.
you want it to be? I mean, we can be Family Guy.
Modern
Meg.
Family's fire. Actually, you do remind me of the guy from Modern Family.
Everybody says it.
I
It's always it's always back.
yeah, that's a good thing though, man. Being recognized as somebody in the stratosphere.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's fire some questions. Let's get going with it.
All right, man.
All
Well,
right.
let's first of all, Dave, tell us a little bit about your business, about your law firm. You're out of Kentucky, correct?
We are out of Kentucky. It's actually Jackie's law firm. Jackie started this. I ran for judge about here in Campbell County about a year and a half ago,
Okay.
and really didn't do anything other than run for judge that year. I mean, that was probably
Sole focus.
Sole focus.
Yeah.
Everything I did was geared towards trying to win an election.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing is, I fell in love with running for office. I absolutely loved going out to, all the small town politics stuff. I really liked.
Yeah, connecting with the ground, right?
Yeah, it was the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Oh, very cool.
And that's how I met Jackie.
I
All
was
right.
behind the scenes plotting,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
waiting for the what would happen in the race.
I can see it too. I can see Jackie trying to.
Yeah, she was doing pretty well. She was in a successful law firm over in Cincinnati, did criminal defense.
Oh, very cool.
And so when the election didn't turn my way, she kind of said, "Hey, I'm not really happy over where I'm at. I'm thinking about starting an office. You want to come in with me?" Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. And our sole focus right now is what we both love: criminal defense. Our backgrounds are both criminal defense. I've been doing 23 years. You've been doing it 10 now? How long have you been doing it?
No, probably 8.
Yeah, she's still a baby,
Yeah.
But she still gets excited about going to trial.
That's a good thing, man. You got to have
It
fire.
is.
You got
It
to,
is. She
your
still has
lawyer
that
has to
fire.
have fire underneath her or him.
So it's that's kind of how we came together and how we've been doing this for the past year. And it's be honest with you, it's been really rewarding.
That's awesome.
Really.
So Jackie, you're practicing in Kentucky now, or still in Cincinnati or Ohio?
So I never had my Ohio license. My plan when I moved up here was to get my Ohio license.
Mm-hmm. You found out there was a lot more criminals in Kentucky?
Well, actually, the people I know that do Cincinnati work, they really enjoy working in Hamilton County, but we have kind of a broad travel range.
For sure.
And so to try and manage that for 2 different states is something that eventually we'll probably both get our Ohio licenses, but only, if we have someone handling the Ohio cases that wants us to come in.
For sure.
Kentucky, we have enough on our plate in Kentucky.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's one of those things, when you've got like cross borders, it's really hard for like a restaurant to open up. If you got 3 in Kentucky, then you want to open up one in Ohio. It's like there's a lot more hoops that you got to go through. It's almost like starting the business all over again with all the paperwork and everything, because it's a new state, new rules, the whole thing. So it's eventually, like you said, it's something that you're going to have to do. But until then, it's like I'm comfortable right here, especially being in Kentucky, because there's this area alone, Newport, Ludlow, Bellevue, Dayton, it's all, right there on the river, man. And there's always, not crime happening, but there's always something happening late night, right? That especially Covington. I forgot to add that for sure.
Yeah, Covington's definitely needs added to the list.
Yeah.
We got a
for
busy
sure.
area. I mean, that is part of the
It's the Commonwealth, bro.
It is the
They got to bring the
Commonwealth.
money in.
Yeah, I mean, this is the unique part of the state in general. Like he was saying earlier, it was like 2.5 hours away that Dave came all the way from here because he had like stuff going on down south. So like, it's one of those things where like we live like Kentucky itself is just there's a line like the Lexington line in north is just a totally different world than south.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was living
it's
in
beyond that. I mean, people forget that I've lived all over the world. I was an Air Force brat, so my folks were from Kentucky, but I
mentioned
grew up
Utah.
in high school and college in Utah, before junior high in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Before that, Germany, Florida, all the other places. Here. When I graduated from college, I moved to Boston. So my first apartment was in Boston. And matter of fact, when you're talking about HYPERCOLORs, I moved to Boston in 1990.
Oh, nice.
When Jay first was talking about HYPERCOLORs, in Boston, Massachusetts in 1991, I think, everybody was wearing HYPERCOLORs.
It was ridiculous.
It was huge. So that's kind of how Jay and I were really started talking one day about the HYPERCOLOR stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But going back to the original thing, Cincinnati, this is the strangest city I've ever lived in my life. And I've lived here since 96. But it's like, you've got a tri-state area, but you've got east side of Cincinnati, west side of Cincinnati, northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky isn't Northern Kentucky is, people from northern Kentucky say, well, I'm from northern Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of the state's like, you're from Cincinnati.
Yeah, okay.
It's not, my mom and dad were. My dad was from Harlan County. My mom was from Floyd County. When they met my wife, Peggy was like, "Well, I'm from Northern Kentucky," and my mom would just go, "Sweetie, there is no Northern Kentucky. You're from Cincinnati." But to Peggy, Peggy's mom and dad who lived in Silver Grove, if they went to the mall, they went to the Lexington. They didn't go to. They wouldn't go across the river to Cincinnati.
They went to the Fayette Mall.
They'd go to the Fayette Mall.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's the strangest thing ever. This is the most parochial city I've ever been in my life. Because
I've got friends that won't cross into Ohio or won't cross into Kentucky too. It's and like my wife, she's got family in Indiana, and a lot of them they don't like going downtown just because of the traffic. They don't the parallel parking or whatever it is. But there's a lot of things that separate that Ohio from Kentucky right here, and it's not just the Ohio River.
Yeah, I always joke that people from the east side hate the west side, people from the west side hate the east side, but both of them hate Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's crazy, but it seems like since 2000 when they had the riots over in Cincinnati, then I was living in Boone County. I was a prosecutor out in Boone County briefly, and the Florence area, Hebron, that whole Union. That went from being farms to subdivisions like within 10 years.
Oh,
and it was everybody from the west. If you go over to Boone County now, they're all transplanted West Siders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got a ton of Cheviot moved to Hebron, and it's like there's certain pockets where people in the west side moved into Boone County.
Yeah, that's where I'm from. I'm from Union, Florence area. So it's like, but I've seen the change there. It's insane. Even the Mount Zion exit. It's like that light situation is.
It's insane,
dude. It's crazy. They put so much engineering into that because it's a whole flow thing, and you get on the highway on a separate lane. It's changed completely.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so different. That exit is. I mean, because it's expansion. I think it's Amazon's fault.
Yeah,
it comes down to Amazon.
It was a little bit before Amazon, and then Amazon.
They were preparing.
Yeah.
They were preparing for it. They knew the expansion. Florence was the most expansive city in the United States for a little while.
It was.
Yeah,
it was the fourth largest city in Kentucky for a while. It overtook Covington, and I think Bowling Green's finally overtaken it because Bowling Green. I don't know if you guys have been to Bowling Green lately.
Mm-mm.
Bowling Green's basically become North Nashville.
Oh, really?
That's where we send David.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
we've got some cases down there. The property. Nashville, at my age, because I'm probably the oldest guy here, I'm old enough to remember when Atlanta was still just a regular city, and now it's become this metroplex.
Yeah.
And wait till you guys are my age. Wait till you see what Nashville becomes, because everybody's going to Nashville. Because you and I are into music.
Yes.
And Nashville for years was Willie Nelson and
country. Yeah.
It was just country.
Yeah. Now L.A. has moved to Nashville.
Yeah. Kid Rock lives in Jack White from the White Stripes.
Yeah.
They live in Nashville, which I remember. There was you and I think we were talking about this the first time we met. That Jack White documentary on Netflix where it was This Might Get Loud, where he had The Edge and Jimmy Page.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And Andrew and I were talking about, because I'm a guitar player and I think you're a bass player.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we were talking about this, and it's just a fascinating documentary. But Jack White said he's got this beautiful place outside of Murfreesboro in Tennessee, and I'm going, I was a kid from Detroit,
right? From
Motown, get to Nashville. What's the draw there? And you go through Nashville now, and it's it's expanding north, south, east, and west. It's becoming a metroplex.
It is. The whole industry has gone there.
Yeah.
They all have gone there. A lot of these, I'm still dealing with a lot of artists and musicians, and a lot of them the labels are really focused on sending everything to Nashville. It's not sending things out to LA anymore. Their producers are coming there. Everyone is going there. I mean, I'm sure it's just taxes and not taxes, but the value of the city is way cheaper to bring your stuff there, and it's kind of a central location of West Coast is obviously in a different spectrum in the case of the time zone and the warmth and all that, but here everyone can come there. Chicago can come down, Florida can come up, everyone can get there quickly to Nashville. It's a central location, and it just happens to be closer to us, but I mean the whole industry is moving there. These producers are all coming out of there now, and
it's a sustainability.
It's sustainability, and the country industry is just getting stronger there. So all these other industries are going there. I mean, Atlanta's still a really strong music industry as well.
It is, especially for hip hop. I mean, the hip hop left me, but if you look at this,
The hip hop left me.
Well, it did. I mean, I'm a little too old for that. That's more Jackie's thing. But if you think about the music that's really being produced, if it's guitar driven, whether it's country, pop, whatever, a lot of it's going to Nashville.
Yeah.
And
I would just like to interrupt to say Jackie, the hip hop expert.
yeah, she is
Jackie, the hip hop.
the queen of hip hop, the queen of all hip hop.
That's amazing.
But it's like, you're right, Nashville, and it's just becoming a metroplex. And part of it is, having grown up in Utah,
What was that like?
I loved it. I
Yeah?
mean, when I was there, I hated it. When I left Utah in 1990, I felt like I'd been paroled. So I remember thinking, I'm never going back.
All right, I'm
I
free.
hate this place.
Yeah.
I'm never going back. Now it's like, I'm going, skiing there next month. I miss
Okay.
it like crazy. I go there for football games at least twice a year.
Oh,
So I'm a big Utes fan. So
Okay.
it's I miss it now. You don't appreciate what you have, I guess, when you're young. But the point of that was this: is everybody left Southern California because the property values, property taxes, all of the other stuff. We're talking about why Nashville is becoming such a hotspot.
yeah.
It's what's happening to Utah. The problem in Utah and the Mountain West in general, Denver's got the same problem. Is that here we got a great big river that flows out right. If we go out the door, we see a big river.
Yeah.
No big rivers in California that you're going to see like that. And if there are, there's
Yeah,
a
'cause
million
they
people.
killed them.
And there's a million people
They
with
killed
straws
them.
in them,
Yeah,
taking the
yeah.
water. So there's just it's the old Sam Kinison joke where he talks about you really want to help people with hunger in Africa, send them boxes and U-Hauls and say move to the food. That's the old Sam Kinison
Yeah.
joke, and I think that's why everybody's moving back to this part of the country.
That joke we all know so well.
Yeah.
Jay probably knows who Sam Kinison is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Andrew and you and Andrew. Oh. I mean, but it's the old Sam Kinison joke. It's the classic.
I would like to point out that when I left college, I sobbed because I knew I would never to get to experience that joy again. I knew what I had at OU, and I was very sad when I had to leave.
When I left Utah, I felt like I'd been paroled.
It's a little different
College
experience.
in Utah was not that experience. College in Utah was like 3-2 beer, no alcohol. You couldn't get a mixed drink in a restaurant. when I was
Ask
there.
Dave
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
what he expected college in Alabama was going to be like
Yeah, don't
versus
even
what
get
it
me started
was.
on that. My daughter's a freshman in Alabama. Don't ask. That is, I don't know that the University of Alabama is a real school.
Yeah.
Oh really?
my goodness.
I think it's a frat party and a football game.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I really do.
They just had a rough football game.
They had a rough football game yesterday.
They
but,
did.
But there's enough. I think there's enough Fireball and Budweiser to soothe everybody's feelings.
To
down
make
there,
them,
'cause-
to make them
Man,
thinking about it.
my parents had a lake house down there in like Jasper, Arley, Alabama area.
Yeah.
And it's like 45 minutes off the highway, right? Like the house is. And I had some friends in Nashville. I was down there for vacation, and I wanted to go to Nashville to see some of my friends. And it was during the Alabama-Auburn game.
Oh.
And I left the house and went to the gas station, and just an 8.5 by 11 piece of like paper just on the window, closed for the game.
Yep.
And it's like I couldn't even leave the city. Like I couldn't even make it to the highway. Like, and that's just how it is. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're closed for the game. Didn't even.
Oh
It's one of the
my
biggest
gosh.
games. It's like their
That's it.
biggest game of the year. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the game.
That is the game.
The Iron Bowl's no joke in Alabama, kids.
Oh, I know, man.
Alabama can run through the whole season, but when they play Auburn, it's like they like forget how to play football, or something happens.
Yeah.
Auburn all of a sudden gets superpowers, and they can compete against
Well,
Alabama. It's
look
like
at this year. What they call. Remember 10 years ago? What they call it the kick six. 10 years ago when they go with Alabama
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody's. Then this year that was like 4th and 31. Alabama was destined to lose, and they convert a touchdown on 4th and 31. So, I mean, the history of that series, it's great.
It's great. It is
You know?
great. It really is. But now we've passed Alabama, and we've passed. Hey, how are you? Good. But we got Michigan and Washington in the championship.
Who do you like?
I think Michigan is going to take it. But I do like both teams. I think both quarterbacks are super solid. It was pretty cool to see the running back from Michigan set the touchdown record for Michigan on an overtime touchdown, which is wild. He's got quite a story that he's going to be able to tell the rest of his life. But yeah, I think Michigan is just the overall better team. The defense is legit, so I think they're probably going to take it. But Washington, this would be the year. They're not like a TCU. People are like, oh, like TCU. No, Washington's real deal.
Yeah.
They got offense that can score on anyone. So, but
that's the thing that shocked me last night is watching Michael Penix and those.
Yeah.
He's got.
Penix, yeah.
There are 3 receivers in that Washington team that are Pro Bowl receivers, probably within 2 years entering the league.
oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they're just. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they're good.
They are good.
Yeah,
They are
It's gonna
good.
be a good game.
It is. I'm excited. I like just seeing Michigan in it for some reason. I'm not even a Michigan fan. It's just seeing just how much they've gone through this year. Just to see Michigan get there is kind of nice.
It's good to see the brand back because they've been
Yeah.
down for so long.
They have been down.
poor
Ohio State
Jackie
fans
doesn't
are
know
gonna.
what to say. It's like, ooh, we're talking about sports.
We'll pass this. We'll get. You hold on. We'll get this one. Yeah.
This too shall pass.
This too shall. This too
This
shall
is my
pass.
cross to bear.
Yeah, I mean it's been a fun football season because like to see Georgia not in the opportunity like don't get me wrong, I don't really have Georgia exhaustion how, but I think they're solid, but I don't know, it's more Alabama exhaustion for a lot of people. It's like Alabama's always in it, but seeing them go down like that,
Yeah,
it was a pretty good game.
It was a great game. Frankly, it's good to see the Pac-12 in the last year of its existence. Having grown up out west, I was a huge Pac-12 fan. I was really happy when Utah joined the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And it's good to see the Pac-12 have a representative in the last season of its existence.
Yep.
And it's good to see Michigan back.
That's kind of sad to say.
It is. I mean, there's a lot of history in the Pac-12 that people in the East Coast don't understand it. But growing up out
They don't
west,
get
that
to watch
was
the
it.
games. Yeah, they can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one thing about the country. It's a big country.
Yeah.
And I got a daughter. My other daughter's the junior out of Oregon.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's it's funny just the one thing about this area getting out to travel and getting around the country, kind of goes back to when I was running for office. People forget, it's a great country.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great if you can actually get away from the mainstream stuff and just talk to people as individuals and realize we have a lot more in common with people
Oh,
than
yeah.
we realize. That's why, I hate to say it, I think when Jackie said we were doing the podcast, I was so excited about coming down and getting to talk with you guys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
For sure. I
So-
appreciate that. We when it comes to like traveling to Oregon and other places like that, man, it's it's always good to look at it in an outside perspective, right? As a visitor going from somewhere else, and then whenever you come back home, you've got like a new outlook on everything here.
Yeah.
And that's with the story here, a lot of this stuff is taken from like going from place to place, like going to Vegas and to Meow Wolf and seeing, we had that whole back wall was lit up with the LED mapping at one point, and that was an idea that I got from Vegas. So when I brought it back in, we implemented it here. But yeah, you just got to open your eyes, man, and when you're traveling across the country, it's always nice to just like be able to decompress and like hang your coat up at your house and then be able to travel and just not worry about work for the week and just go and see everything else and see how other people live and talk to people and sorry, my eyes killing me.
Oh, that's good.
Just being that tourist, man, just going out and asking questions and just downloading it all. You know what I
Let
mean?
me ask you a question. How you've managed the first time you and I met was kind of that same, kind of the same spontaneous thing where we just started talking together and we're able to running a store like this and just being in the arts like you are.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect? I mean, how do you when you talk to people? What's your outlook on everything right now? I mean,
like my outlook on the store or outlook on
just how things are going around in the community, in general.
I think I do think that there's kind of a halt in the shopping. At least in 2023, it seems like a lot of people are kind of holding onto their wallet a little more. But the people that we do see that come in here, we get a lot of, we get a lot of Louisville, we get a lot of Lexington, Indianapolis, Columbus. So, like our job here is to ask you where you're from, right? So it starts up a conversation. Then it also we know where to lead you. If you're, from Kentucky, then here's the 859 stuff.
Yeah.
So we're able to kind of just break that barrier right away, and then just start talking to the people. But it seems like everyone loves the levee, man. When they come down here, they see it and they love everything that's going on. But as a business owner, it's one of those things where it's like, you still got bills to pay. Right. And a place like this, it isn't cheap, man. It's not like, we've got, we're in a shopping center somewhere. Like this is prime real estate. So it's just a numbers game. It's just we've gotten the store to the point where we understand that our capture rate's about 33%, which is really good. Mm-hmm. So now it's a numbers game. We just need more people coming through the door. But as long as me, Andrew, and Tyrell just keep talking to the people when they come in and showing them the lab. That lab really gives them their own experience and kind of tells the story for us.
Yeah, that's kind of what did it for me. I was fascinated by it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jackie
I was
brought
like,
me.
you must stand here and the door will open.
Yeah.
But there's a uniqueness to everything that's in the store. That's the thing. To me, everything in here fosters a sense of community.
Oh, yeah.
And it fosters a sense of what, having gotten to meet Andrew the way I met Andrew and you. I guess it's more of a philosophical question. It's like, as people that have been really involved in building communities, my generation, I'm getting to this. I hate to say it at 57, man. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to watch Fox News and say, the whole world's going to shit.
Yeah.
But for you guys, what do you?
I'm there, buddy. I'm there.
Bullshit.
I'm 42, and I'm starting to scroll over that channel, going, wait a minute, what are they saying?
Yeah, hang on, there might be something to this shit.
Yeah.
Hang
Hot
on.
take: the world has always been the way it is.
The world's always been on fire.
It's
We
just
just-
easier
Right.
to see now with social
Yeah,
media.
this is the age of the internet.
Yep.
I know, man.
Web 3.0.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the
They
thing.
used to burn women. I'm okay with where we are.
Yeah, right.
That's
I
that.
don't know. I don't know. You might look good in the Handmaid's Tale thing.
I think I would really pull that off. However, I would prefer not to.
Probably a good deal for all of us.
So what was your question
Yeah,
about
but-
community?
Yeah, just because you guys have outside of the commercial, your own commercial interests, you guys have been really big on cultivating community and doing things that have really. I've kind of admired both of you for that. I think you guys have had a commitment to that, and I'm just kind of curious as to what do you see? Are you optimistic about the future? We're here at a new year.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I appreciate it. I think we've been here. This is our third year that we've been here, and I think 2024 with all the new stuff they have opening up here, it's only gonna grow. But for us, I think there's a couple of items that we've created in the store that there's no more trimming the fat, right? Which is what I call it. It's you got this piece of steak here, and then you want to trim off the fat until you get that nice piece of steak you're ready to eat. And me and Andrew have really fine-tuned it, and we gotten to the point where we think the hats are ready to be pitched to lids. That's something that's a very clean logo, and it's synonymous across the board. It's almost like a Corvette, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's the Arizona Cardinals or the Chicago Bears or the Chicago Cubs or the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, you've got that same logo with just the different area code underneath it. So, I think our goal in 2024 is to try to get that into lids and then super speed the store itself.
Yeah.
Right. So if we got the connection into lids, but then we've got this as the home store, I think it's going to build a lot of fire here.
Right.
we're looking for.
Yeah.
But you know, and just getting out into the other brands. There's things that I haven't done specifically, like I haven't gotten to any coffee shops. I haven't gone to any places and say, hey, do you want to carry native? Because that's something where, you know, Angel and I we're under control of all the logos, all the designs, and you know, and most of the stuff here is limited runs, so we don't want to, you know, over mass produce stuff.
Right.
That's the cool factor of the store. So, but you know, it's at the point now where it's like, okay, now that we know the store runs well and we know that we can keep this thing on autopilot, how do we get another artery to the heart to start pumping money in?
Right.
You know, once you get that, then you want to link another one in. And it's like, how do we just keep linking stuff in and then keep using this store as a as just a workhorse, right? Like even if it is slow Monday through Friday, we can be in here printing online merch or printing merch for other businesses that are carrying the native stuff.
Yeah. See, I think one of the things that I've admired about the way you've branded everything, the way you've marketed all of this, is you've done it with a sense of community. You've done it with a sense of purpose. You know, the branding itself is cool. I mean, I hate to say it as the 57-year-old white guy. She'll identify with it. You know, I'm probably the most uncool person that's come in the store.
Hey, you picked one of the coolest shirts.
Yeah, I picked a good shirt. You know, but the thing about it is this: there's something that draws me to this business because of the way. I mean, it's done in an ethical way. I mean, you can feel that when you walk in here. There's nothing that's contrived. There's nothing that's so honestly, my hats off to you guys. You guys have done a great job, and you've done it with integrity.
We appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say, you mentioned community a few times. Like, to me, community is probably one of the most important things that you can do as any business, because your goal is to create a community amongst clients, if you will, customers or whatever, guests, however you want to choose the verbiage. But like, community kind of comes down to people with a common interest and a commonality amongst each other, whether it's demographic or whether it's economic or whether it's just simply out of passion or whatever the community is based on. And for me, I think community is like, what drives me with community is like knowing they're there for what I'm about, because I created the platform to let the community sit on. So like, for example, with like Beyond the Stage or Native, both things have, this is musicians in mind, this is local natives in mind, but like in my mind, something that they can gravitate to that's easily digestible. And community needs to be something where everyone can play on an even playing field and be a part of it without having without conditions. And if you have a community where there's conditions, that's when you're going to have people feeling, distant or not valued or whatever. And my goal is to create value in the community and people feeling valuable. And that's where I'm at, because we're all just humans. We're all the same. We're just built different. We have different, passions, different loves, different hates, different everything. Everyone's different. Everyone has things that they don't want to do, they do want to do. Everyone's so different, but we are all humans at the end of the day. So to me, I'm here to, like, if you can, you should. That's kind of how I think. So if you can do it, you should do it, because your ability, if it comes in your brain and you can execute it. And I like to execute things. I like to create something from nothing and to see how it does. And community helps you get there, because no one can do stuff by themselves. Jay had been running Native on his own for, forever, for a long time, long time. Like, I had known him for a few years before I even walked in the store to buy something for Charlie, and then now we're here, and we're 4 years into it now, bro. 4 years. So it's like, to me, it's the
Thanks
leg.
for correcting me. 4 years at the Levy.
Yeah, 4 years.
I said 3 like 10 minutes ago. Appreciate you.
Oh, okay. 2019 December.
I'm flying, bro.
Yeah, 2019. That's we just passed the 2023, which have been 4 years as of 19, and now we're in 2024, which is, like I said, crazy earlier. But at the end of the day, like, people want to feel like they can belong somewhere, and they want to feel like they can go somewhere and feel safe. not necessarily physically safe, but like emotionally safe, and they can go there and they can be their best selves and they can be their true selves, and everyone accepts them with no conditions. And I try to create space for that by just being myself, but also just being open to everybody's differences and bringing others together that not necessarily wouldn't be together. Like part of Beyond the Stage, which we just had our 5th one. Jackie was actually in the crowd for that one. She was in the crowd for that one. That was exciting. It was our best one to date. But part of that, I bring an art vendor on, and I would prefer the art vendor have nothing to do with the artist that's performing on the stage, because I want to bring other communities together. Yes, so the art vendor allows that. But that's just where my head's at, and that's how I want to frame that thing specifically. It just allows me to interview artists, do my thing, and bring my musician friends that are doing cool things and just bringing light to them in a different way. But it's ultimately about the community. It's all about the collective of people that are like, hey, I want to see music. I also like the idea of getting to know the musicians, and I also like the idea that I can come and sit and watch the show, and I can either watch it from my computer at home, I can watch it from my phone, or I can come in person. And there's options, and like that's community wants options. Options are a part of life. You go to a drive-through, you're gonna have all the options in the world. So I'm here to give options, and community will vibe with it, because someone's like, you don't even have to be there. You can watch it online. So we're gonna try to set up like a digital tip jar so people can even contribute online. So that's that's in the works right now. But that's where my head's at, is just the community thing. Like 100%, when you mention that is a huge part of what I'm about, because I mean, growing up, I was always at the mall. I was always at the Florence Mall, and there was like a little community that was always at the Florence Mall, the mall rats, if you will.
Yeah, I was going to say the ragamuffins.
The mall rats, man. Yeah, that's. There's we have a chair next to the register here in Native, and it's like hangout culture. You can come, sit there, talk with us.
That's usually me.
We chill. Yeah, exactly. And that idea kind of that came from when I would hang out at Cosmic, and then I started doing my thing there with them, and I got brought into that Cosmic family, and before you know, I was on a fantasy football league with them, and then I was just with them all the time, and then we all separated when I went off to college or whatever. But like at the time, that was the community, and though I had a lot of friends outside of that, that was the community I wanted to be a part of. We're just mall rats. They were just kids that we all liked metal music. We talked metal off. And then we all go to the Mad Hatter together, go watch The Devil Wears Prada, go watch Miss May I, go watch whoever was playing, and come back to the Florence Mall the following day and talk about it. Yeah. Like that was our thing. We all talked about it. Like we weren't on forums talking about it. We'd come back to the mall, meet back at Cosmic, and we'd talk about the concert from the night before. That was so much fun. Like I looked forward to the following day after the concert, because everyone's getting their perspective and we're all talking about the new stuff. So like that community brought us all closer, and it's harder to have communities now because we did just come out of the pandemic where people are sheltered down and not really in any community. Community was broken up to a degree. There is no go-to music scene anymore. It doesn't even exist. It's individual venues and shows. It's not a music scene anymore. It's not the same.
I agree with you on the music thing, but I'm going to disagree with you on one point.
Okay.
For all the bad parts of the pandemic, I saw that bring communities back together. Like,
okay, sure. And, I'm sure it did.
Like the street I live on, we would have, outdoor street parties where all the neighbors would come out and have a barbecue with social distance. But I thought it brought people together. It gave us that sense of community. The community wasn't as broad as it probably has been.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things. I mean, you guys are all social media guys. We're doing. Hell, I'm 57. I'm doing a podcast. You'd have told me 10 years ago.
You're here.
What the hell's a podcast?
Yeah. Well,
but
10 minutes ago.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago. I worry that.
What the hell's a podcast? Let's see.
As just
he's doing great though.
I'm proud of him.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job.
But I worry about the devices and stuff that the social media aspects that Jackie's like great at. You guys are great at. I worry sometimes that that's pushing us further apart because it's easier to. Bear in mind, this is coming from a criminal attorney who I see these cell phones and stuff doing a lot of bad. A lot of people getting really doing dumb things.
A lot of gentlemen using phones.
Yes,
to do dumb things that can always hire us.
It's true.
to help them in their legal matters.
There you go.
But it's one of these things that I worry that people, there's an anonymity to online activity.
Oh, yeah.
There is, yes.
People can, who normally would be very nice, civilized people.
People can be their worst.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
it's like you put the handle, a social media handle. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even know what the hell a social media handle was.
It's a username.
Yeah, you put that stuff under, and you can be the most vile person in the world
You
to
can.
somebody.
Yes, you can.
And it's I've
You can
worked on-
create multiple fake accounts.
Yeah, but
and
you could
harass
do that
someone from
before
many
the
different-
pandemic.
You could.
You could, but I mean,
But the pandemic kept people at home, and they started getting creative.
Right.
And I like where you went with the the community getting stronger within the absence of social interaction. I also think that online communities also
Yeah.
strengthened. So I was actually talking to people in the lab earlier, and there's a group that I'm a part of that it's it's called the Council of Andrews. It's all Andrews. Period.
that's
A
awesome.
derivative of Andre. There was 20,000 of us at one point, but Facebook
Oh my gosh.
thought a revolution was going to happen, so they shut the first one down. They shut the whole group down, and then the same guy that started the second one, and now we're like, I don't know, 5,000 to 8,000 members, somewhere along those lines. But there's a group chat, and I don't really take part in it, but they are always giving ideas and doing their thing. But those communities are strengthened by the pandemic. Those communities
Yeah.
are there for that. It's an online community, and people are they can be whoever they want. Like you said, you can be whatever you want behind that computer screen, because a little to no accountability is the case. There's really no one regulating the internet.
Right.
It's a wild wild west out there. You can
It
be
is.
as brutal as you want. You can bully online. You can make someone
Yeah.
go to their wits end. You can terrorize someone, and who's coming after you? There's nobody really.
Right.
There's no. I mean, I'm still surprised there isn't an online task force to
I mean,
policing things. Yeah, you can threats online. Are they empty threats? Are they real? Those are things that I'm still curious as to why they haven't really
well,
doubled down on that.
those
Yeah.
are things that I mean, naturally we see a lot. We'll have those cases where, somebody might come to us, or even when I was a prosecutor, the cop would come to us and be like, "Can we even do anything about this? Because they don't live in this jurisdiction, but it's on here." And a lot of times, a local place isn't necessarily paying attention unless it's somebody that you don't think it's a conditional threat. They're really going to hurt somebody. But as far as certain things on the internet, the policing that has to do with a lot of anything sexual or underage, there are things that are pinging all the time. That I know Google just had that lawsuit because I think it was at Google or Yahoo where they were tracking people when they told them they weren't going to track them.
It's Google. Yeah.
And so there is a lot of policing. It's just, I think the perception of what policing is versus
Okay, yeah. I see.
what
Yeah.
our First Amendment stuff is. You can be an asshole and say crazy stuff, and it doesn't trigger anything. That's the internet. As a big First Amendment girl, that's what I love. I, spent my law school time on Reddit. I am still a Reddit user.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
I want, even once it's had the ownership change and the new rules, Reddit were like, oh, we don't get all the same content we used to.
Oh, shit.
Because now it has to be, go through certain processes, and the mods don't have the same power, and people can't use the different apps to modify what goes up, what goes down. But I think there is a lot of policing. It's just not, there's no self-policing.
So, but the policing is coming from who?
So when we talk about cases that we get, if it's an internet crime, there are private and government organizations that are involved with that, and they partner with Facebook or your provider, and they'll have listings of images that are certain illicit, illegal images, that they have those data files, and they know oh, that's data file XYZ, and we've seen that in so many communities, and when that data file gets sent through, that pops and they send somebody to care. But if it's just a conditional threat, you still need that human element of someone being like, hey, can someone pay attention to this guy, because he said he's going to kill a teacher.
Right.
Yeah, that's it's such a it's like gray area. That's what it's. I mean, really, I mean, because the internet, like we were saying earlier, like the Wild Wild West aspect.
That's what
of
I was
like,
going to say. It's just like when you said it's the Wild West.
Yeah,
it is.
It is. It really is. And I mean, Facebook though regulated, and they like I was saying earlier, the Council of Andrews, the first one, Facebook thought there was a revolution about to happen. They really did. They flagged the whole group and canceled it on all of us. And you have to get in the group by being invited by another Andrew. That's the rules. So when the group ended, we were all very confused. And I didn't really, it wasn't even that deep to me. I was like, oh, what happened? I guess. And then all of a sudden, I got a friend request, a message from the guy who started. He sent it to every single member he could find. He found us, all of us. And he just sent out thousands, I guess, and got us all back in. He's like, hey, sorry, Facebook. Thought we were starting a revolution. They sent me a threat, this and this and this. We are not doing that. Just so you know, this is a peace group. And he sent this long message. Thank you for coming back.
There were some Andrews that ruined it for the rest.
Right.
Exactly. But that's the thing is Facebook was literally held it down. They stopped it. I mean, over 20,000 members, and they're like, gone.
Yeah.
No, you don't get the freedom of nothing. So that was interesting because even though it's a group of just derivative of Andre, but
Love that so much.
But Facebook took it so serious that these people that could be a threat to something, that they cut the whole entire group out, and that's it.
I'm so confused why they shut you guys down when there's so many other groups that I think we need to be worried
If there was
about.
a council of Dave, it would be at Five Guys, and there would be like Christ Hospital's cardiac unit, sponsoring the whole thing.
Dave just wants the other Daves to meet him at Five Guys after the show.
Yeah, we got a Five Guys right here.
I know.
Yeah.
He's like, that's why we got to cut it at 8:50.
Yeah.
We close at 9.
Right.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Yep. So damn, I just lost my train of thought again, bro. This flu is killing me.
Yeah, man, we're both under the weather right now. It's this weather change is crazy. Like, it's so cold now, and apparently I was reading later this month we're supposed to get way colder, like really cold.
Well, it really hasn't been winter, so it would make sense for it to be cold later this month.
Yeah, like they say it potentially record-setting colds.
I will tell you this:
The
smartest thing you could ever do,
world
take it
is
January 15th. Always go to Mexico. Book a flight. Go to Cancun. January, do Vacation Express or
You're
whatever,
not going anywhere on
whatever's-
January 15th.
No, because I'm going skiing in Utah in February. But I'm telling you, it always breaks the winter up here. Because I'm telling you, having lived in Boston, this is the best place in the world to live. As far as climate's concerned, Cincinnati, Ohio has everything beat. Winters are. I had to move my daughter into a dorm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in August. If there's a hell on earth,
It's there.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in mid-August.
Right.
The heat.
It is. I mean, first of all, name a fat guy that wants to go 15 inches from the sun in a swamp and move furniture.
Did they have elevators?
Yes, they did, but I
Okay,
did not
good.
use them.
Oh,
That was the problem. We were only on the second floor, so the elevators were of no use. It was like wait for an hour, just bite it and go up a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
But here, what do we have, like 2 days that were over like 97 this summer? Humidity's, not that bad compared to going south.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not kidding. When the fireworks are shot off in Cincinnati on the weekend, was it Labor Day weekend?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
From Labor Day until the 1st of November, this is the best place in the world to live.
Oh yeah. It's
I
like
mean,
perfect weather.
Yeah, it's perfect weather. I mean, you can do anything you want. And even the springs here, because you go to Columbus, Ohio in March, you're cold. But like the last weekend of February in Cincinnati, it's like, oh, spring's here.
I'm
Yeah.
Feel it.
cold. I'm
going
cold
out
in March.
Yeah, because you're going to get a few days in March that are going to screw with you. But am I wrong in this? The last couple of weeks of February, there'll be 1 or 2 days where it's like, yeah, spring's here.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting the golf clubs
Yeah,
out.
it's
We're
called
going
false
golfing.
spring.
And then
Yeah.
March. My birthday is March 1st, so it's like I used to throw parties. I used to throw roller skating parties all the time.
Yeah.
And it was like, it doesn't matter how warm it was in February. As soon as March 1st hit, there would be a cold front that came through
Oh,
every
yeah.
single time.
yeah.
So it's like we were talking about earlier, man. It's like you want that winter, in December, just so you can feel like Christmas is here. But
Yep.
January and
Yeah.
February, and even the beginning of March, it's like That's when the real cold weather is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
said January, but I bought a boat. I mean, when I was in law school, especially when I was studying for the bar exam, I studied 6 days a week. On that 7th day, I would go out boat shopping. I would just go look at a boat. So I was like, this is why I'm doing this.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
buy a boat. It was my first big purchase. So bought a boat in January, and it's just like you talk about torture.
Oh man.
I was just like, come on, man, spring's gonna get here. Come on, spring's gonna get here. It's like got that couple of days in February. It's like I'll be launching this boat in no time. March 1st hits, blizzard.
Yep.
It was like 15 days, and it was just cold and miserable. But then, like, spring training's going on in March, and, the Reds always started, the first week of April, the last day of March.
Yeah.
And there's no better place in the world to live than Cincinnati during opening day. Because
Oh, I know.
opening day is generally,
I don't
you
know.
may get a
It's pretty cold.
snowstorm, but you may get the next day it may be 65 degrees and sunny.
Right.
So you never know what you're going to get. This is a great place to live. People forget that.
Yeah, and 4 hours away, Cleveland, freezing.
Awful.
4.5 hours away, Chicago. It's like I grew up in Chicago, man, and the summers, it's like if it's 80, it feels like 100 with the heat index,
Yep.
and in the winter, if it's 0, it feels like -20 because of the Lake Michigan. So it's like, you don't win there in Chicago, man. You got 2 months of good weather.
Yeah.
And that's
like
it.
Boston was when my dad went to the first Gulf War, so I moved to Boston in 1990. And when he died in 2013, I found the letters, because this is pre-internet days, so I had to write my dad letters.
Oh, yeah.
When he was in the first Gulf War, and I moved there in July. And when he died, I found all the letters, and I had my September letters like, "Hey, Dad, made it to my
Aw.
first Red Sox game. Great time." Now I'm moving from Salt Lake City, Utah to Boston. It's like in my September letter, man, a little cold here tonight. Then like November's like, the Red Sox didn't make it. That was the year the Reds won the World Series, by the way.
Oh
I
shit.
know. That
And
was
I was
when
like,
I was born.
Yep. And I'm sitting there. The Oakland A's beat the Red Sox in the ALCS to go to the World Series and lose to the Reds. So I remember, the Red Sox lost in the ALCS. Man, it is cold here in October. Then the January letter I was like, Jesus, Dad, it is cold here, and it gets dark at 3:30 in the afternoon. Then the April letter was like, this shit's never going to end. It's like, in April here, there's birds singing in the trees. You're wearing shorts, T-shirts. We're all, I'm running around in my mushroom T-shirt from the Mad Scientist.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, and it's great. April in Kentucky, in Cincinnati, great. Go 100 miles north of Cleveland. It's still cold. It sucks.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not sure Cleveland ever doesn't suck.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say that, off the record, Cleveland is just,
That's off the record.
yeah, it's off the record, because when their river catches on fire twice in history, that.
That was
Right.
a while
River?
ago.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, tell me about
We were
it.
talking about REM, right?
Yeah.
Life's Rich Pageant. There's a song called Cuyahoga. There's a Randy Newman song called the Cuyahoga, about what the river caught on fire in the 50s and in the 70s. The river was so polluted.
Oh.
The Cuyahoga River was so polluted it caught on fire.
That's wild.
Yeah,
That is
I mean,
wild.
you can look at it. I mean, it's Randy Newman there's a red moon rising on the Cuyahoga River.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's on fire.
No
Oh,
shit.
wow.
Yeah, what's Randy Newman always had these great lyrics. He goes, "The Lord can make you tumble. The Lord can make you roll. The Lord can do almost anything, but the Lord can't make you burn." And it's just roll on, big river.
That's
so
tough.
it's a great song.
All right, man. So I'm sure we got some criminals listening right now. So, so if they've got any questions, or like if, say for instance, I get pulled over from a police officer and I have been drinking, what do you recommend they do? Because I know you've got it written on your business card, right? Something like that.
Well, on one version of my business card, I have "Don't say shit."
Yeah. There you go.
But on the version that we're currently using, we're a little cleaner because we don't want to get in trouble. But the big thing, it really depends on, the nature of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously every situation is different, so this can't be construed as legal advice.
For sure.
But a lot of times when we talk to people and it's for example, a DUI, you know, it really is a balancing of, you know, what have you done? What have you drank? Where we don't necessarily know that answer. You're the only one that can answer it.
For
and
sure.
if you're at a point where you don't know,
Right.
that's an answer enough.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But generally, you know, as far as the court case goes, a refusal, which is what we call when you don't take the test at the jail or don't submit to blood, is the way to go for a DUI, because that means that, you know, whatever evidence they saw, if it was bad driving, if they said that you smelled like the odor of alcoholic beverage, which is the way that they have to say it, then that's all they have. That's the only evidence. You're not, you know, basically putting yourself in the position where you're going to be convicted by giving a number.
Right.
As far as, you know, just a general stop, I would say there's going to be different responses by different defense attorneys. But as a former prosecutor who I used to be talking with the law enforcement in my area, and just as someone who has driven in general, you're going to want to, you know, you don't have to do everything they tell you necessarily, but you want to be respectful, because the reality is you never know what cop is the cop that's stopping you.
Right. For sure.
So it's you know, like we have even one of our really good friends, you know, she is smart. She knows, you know, what she can and can't say, but she has an attitude problem. So for her, the best approach is to shut up.
For sure.
I mean, to be honest, to follow up what Jackie says, 9 times out of 10, most people give themselves up.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand is this: the police are legally allowed to lie to you.
Right.
Okay? So
That's interesting.
the most important amendment any of us have isn't our Fifth Amendment or our Fourth Amendment. Because the Fourth Amendment, I mean, hell, the courts have limited that like crazy over the last 30, 40 years. It's your right to counsel. I mean, respect, you know, if a police comes up and wants to talk to you, say, sir, you know, I'd love to talk to you, but I'd really like to have a lawyer present. And they have to stop talking to you. They have to give you the opportunity to contact an attorney. And if you can't get a hold of an attorney, you know, say, can we do this when I have an attorney present? Your most important right is to have an attorney.
Right.
Okay? Because, you know, we're the guys that, I've done this for 23 years now. I mean, I know when, you know, I think it's safe for my client to talk, and when he's going to have to just hush and not say anything.
For sure.
As far as the DUI thing, I'm going to say a little something about that. Having been, Jackie and I have both been prosecutors. First thing is, don't drink and drive.
Absolutely.
You know, one of the things that, you know, we talk about community. One of the big things, you know, I think we all have a responsibility for is trying to keep one another safe.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've both been doing this for combined over 30 years. You know, everybody talks about drugs, and we've certainly handled our share of drug cases and things like that. The one drug that, and I'll say it's a drug, you know, people may fight with me on that I've seen ruin more families, ruin more lives.
Alcohol.
It's not heroin. It's not meth. It's alcohol. It does more damage to more people than people know.
Right.
And now the problem, you know, with meth and heroin, that happens a hell of a lot quicker.
Yeah.
You start using it, and suddenly you've gone from productive and nice to, holy shit, what happened to this guy?
Right.
Whereas alcohol, it does it over time. So,
Well, you know, and alcohol is also not, you know, it's not forbidden, right? So it's
Right.
like, oh, it's not a big deal.
right, it's we're watching talking about the college football playoffs, you know, earlier. How many Bud Light commercials do we see? How many Miller Lite commercials do we see?
Right.
It's encouraged. It's part of this whole, you know, it's part of our culture.
Mhm.
And you know, so I always say, if you want to avoid having contact with the cops, you know, don't drink and drive. Take an Uber.
Yeah,
It's
and that's
really easy to take an Uber.
Especially in this area. It's
Especially
not like
in
you
this
have a
area.
problem
Right.
getting an Uber or a Lyft.
Yeah.
right.
And really, back to, I don't know if you were this way when you were a prosecutor, but when I was a prosecutor, I was like really hardcore on DUIs because to me, I felt like that was the only way that just like someone that won't come in contact with the criminal justice system, that's the only way that they're coming in contact with the criminal justice system. And it's either the DUI or it's the DUI where somebody dies.
Right.
And so, like, I remember when I was a prosecutor, it was in Lexington. There was a girl, she was in her 20s, and, you know, she was, it might have been a cocaine DUI. I don't remember. So it's not alcohol, but she was just driving too fast, and she hit this poor family. And so it's, you know, supposed to be 4th of July. Everybody's celebrating. A lot of times when these cases happen, it's because people are celebrating. They're having a good time, and then they want to drive home. But, you know, you're past the point when you might be capable of doing that. And, you know, it led to her killing people. It's ruining her life. It's ruining those family life. You know, those are the ones where when we get our clients, they come in with so much guilt and shame. And it's like, that's happened. You know, you have this DUI. You need to forgive yourself. We need to move on.
Yeah.
We're going to fight for this if we can get it suppressed or get rid of the case because, you know, there's some error in how law enforcement investigated it. We're going to do that. If we can't take it to trial, then, you know, if you want to plead, we're going to plead. But, you know, if you can prevent it, that's so much easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I totally agree. You know, I live right on the avenue in Dayton. So, you know, it's Route 8. It's like they call it a Kentucky State Highway. It's the road that once you leave the parking lot here, it's that main road. And my car's been hit by a drunk driver just parked out in front of my house where they actually, if my car wasn't there, they would end up hitting my house. Like, so thankfully my car stopped them.
Yeah.
But then also my wife, her car got hit while she was in the car. So she was sitting in the car waiting to come in, and somebody was driving by and just sideswiped her car.
Oh, no.
So she took off chasing that girl, and she calls me like bawling, crying. I'm like, what is going on? I thought you were just outside. What is happening?
Yeah.
And she's like, somebody hit me. I'm chasing them down. And so, like, you know, being right on the avenue, some cops saw her chasing them. So the cop followed both of them, and they ended up arresting her for a DUI. But it was the same thing. Like, there's so many people that come right through, you know, Dayton that are drunk as can be. And, you know, those roads, it's only a one lane and then a parking spots, right?
Yeah.
And there's not much room, you know, for negotiation on any of those. So it's like, you know, anyone that's not paying attention can sideswipe a car easily there.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember I got hit.
But you're right in front of
the police station too.
Like, you're
yeah.
literally right.
no.
Like,
in front.
I'm right across the street
Like,
from the police station. So typically there's police cars out in front of my
So
house.
when that would have happened, I mean,
Twice. Yeah.
yeah, so that's wild even to think about, because like the context is where you're located, which makes it even more ridiculous.
Right.
So I mean that's a big factor, because I mean you are right across. So it's, if someone's, I mean, can you imagine running to your building though? You just like chill
it'd be,
right in the middle of the store,
Yeah,
the old
it'd be
storefront.
insane.
But guys, that's the thing. It's the thing we see with our jobs. We've had clients run through houses.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you know, it kind of goes back to the whole thing we were talking about, community and all of this. One of the things that I like about our law practice is it's similar to what everybody has bad days.
Yeah.
And even the person I'm sure that hit your car, hit your wife's car. You know, everybody always wants to ask, you know, criminal attorneys, man, how the hell do you represent somebody that you know is guilty?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
our job is not to prosecute. Our job's not to. We're not the judge. We're not the jury. You know, when we talk about communities, one of the things we're very fortunate. I think we live in a country. Believe it or not, the justice system actually, I still believe it works. It's not perfect.
It doesn't always work.
It doesn't always, you know, give us all the outcomes we want. But, you know, it's I think it's as close as we can. Juries, believe it or not, I think 9 times out of 10 they get the right answers.
Yeah.
I do believe in the jury system. Okay. I think our judges do a good job. I think our police officers, for the stress that they're under,
Especially the past 3 years.
yeah, because people forget. wanting police officers to be police officers.
Yeah.
They've got to be teachers. They've got to be counselors. They've got to be couples counselors. Because most of the cops you see, they get hurt doing what? Going to domestic disputes.
Yeah.
That's where
Yep.
that's
Or
where
running.
they're most likely to get really hurt.
Yeah.
And I guess the older I get, the more I kind of want to see why I kind of value stores like this, programs like this, where people can talk and still get that faith back in the system.
For sure.
I mean, one of the things that when Jackie started the firm, we've got a saying here: passion, integrity, and community.
Oh yeah.
That's what that's on our little nameplates on our offices, and that kind of means a lot to us.
For sure.
I don't want to put words but
We don't want repeat customers.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
We
You just-
want to help you and send you on your way.
I mean, that's smart to think that way instead of like other lawyers like we could name you know what I'm talking about. That just try to get as many clients as they can, and they just want them to keep coming back. Like he doesn't want you to get better. He wants you to keep doing those crimes. So he just keeps making that money. But it's nice to see that you guys are like, look, like we're just trying to help the community make sure that there's less drunk drivers in the state of Northern Kentucky. Then we're going to be a lot happier, right, and healthier and safe. So it's really cool that you guys are on that level of like, we don't want repeat customers. We want to be able to fix your mistake, and then you learn from it and don't do that shit again. You know what I mean? And that's
if they've in fact, because here's the thing: the sad truth is, I mean, police are human too. The police make mistakes. Sometimes the wrong person gets nabbed.
right.
Which, so back to your question, what do we tell people? Your most important right is your Sixth Amendment right to counsel. Have a lawyer with you before you talk to the police. Most police, when they talk, police are skilled interviewers. They're sent
They're
to
friendly.
school. Right, and they can elicit a confession without letting you think that you're even giving a confession.
Right.
Because people get confused. You get stopped by a guy with a gun and a badge, and it's like, okay, hang on, I gotta, what am I, what do you want me to say? And everybody keeps trying to say,
They want to fix it.
How do I fix this? How do I talk my way out of this? How do I try to let him know what's in my mind?
Right.
And he's got his own agenda, which is, a lot of times to make an arrest.
Yeah.
So he can close the case and get on with his life.
He's just trying to pick that lock, man. He's
Right.
just trying to figure out those numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's I think the importance of having somebody who's done this, who our job isn't to we're not there to tell lies and try to get a guilty person
We're
out of something.
ethically bound to not lie.
Yeah, we're ethically bound to tell the truth, and a lot of times that means telling our clients the hard truth.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, if we go to trial, this is what's going to happen. And it's also, most people are not innately bad people.
Right.
Have we represented people who might be unredeemable? 23 years, I've probably had maybe a handful. Okay, but most people, you're getting them on their worst day,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and you need to listen to them. You need to talk to them, treat them like they're your kid, treat them like they're valued.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people don't feel that way.
Yeah, people, what they like is knowing that they're not just a dollar sign.
Right.
I mean, it's just back to what you were saying. It's the buy-in. Like when I come to Native, first of all, obviously I was brought in by Harambe. And then when you come into Native, you're a part of that community. You have a buy-in. I want to spend, my time and my money with someone local who, makes things better for me. And that's kind of how our clients want to feel. They can feel too our sincerity when we are invested in them, when we are invested in getting them a good outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we have some clients where we'll say, hey, listen, you're going to lose at jury trial, if we were to just keep doing jury trial after jury trial, you're going to lose a lot of them. But you said you want to go to jury trial, we will fight for you.
Right.
And people, it's that authenticity that you guys were talking about. Our clients respect that. They want to know that we give a damn about the result. And even if it's, something crazy, because we've both had some, pretty crazy cases, the cases that make people ask us, why would you take a case like that? And it's because, I want to do a good job.
Right.
And even if the case is crazy, they deserve their defense attorney, and they deserve to know that there's someone who's competent, who's standing by their side, who knows how to navigate this incredibly complex and specialized system.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to like, the people that are coming to you for the advice, right? Like there's something there where you don't want to give them the brass ring and say, hey, everything's going to be okay, and then the outcome be completely different, because that's when the false hope thing is something you don't want to give somebody, right? Giving them the brass tacks beforehand and saying, hey, this is what we're looking at, this is what you're going to have to do, letting them know ahead of time instead of just saying, oh yeah, everything's good, you're gonna get out scot-free, and then when it comes down to it, you're like, oh shit, didn't think about that, but yeah, you're gonna have to spend a little time in the clink.
Yeah,
that's what going. I think the importance of the relationships you build with your clients.
For sure.
You don't think of them as a dollar sign. You don't think of them. Most of these people, especially a lot of the alcohol cases and drug cases.
Mm.
I've always said this, and Jackie may agree with me or disagree with me. We've never really talked about this, especially the hard drug cases and the hard alcohol cases.
Mm.
Those are mental health problems. Those aren't necessarily criminal law problems.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
we just want you to fix what's going on there.
right, and unfortunately, I can't wave a magic wand to somebody who's got a kid with a heroin problem.
Right.
And suddenly they're in recovery and they're fine. Any more than I can wave a magic wand for somebody who's got a meth problem, who's now looking at 5 years in prison because he's violated their probation.
Right.
Okay. But if you can talk to them and you show them that you listen to people, the biggest thing we do is listen.
Yeah.
We listen to one another.
Right.
And and a lot of times people, especially when they get into these things, they feel marginalized. They don't feel like anybody ever hears them, that they're worth, they're worth listening to. And when you listen to somebody and you can reach them and maybe help them, guide them on a path that towards a recovery or towards an outcome that's maybe a little bit better than what they were looking at, that's the reward in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was going with it on the community front, but with that same mindset in the as the forefront. So people don't, for some reason, it's such a common thing where people feel marginalized. They don't feel like anyone cares, and it's such a common thought process or reality for so many people. And to me, it's really sad, unfortunately, that people constantly feel that way. Like people come into the store a lot, and they'll talk at our hangout station here, and because no one else is listening to them, they have nowhere else to go. They have no one else to count on. They just come in and they'll talk to us, and we have to be conscious of that and remember that this might be the only conversation they're having for today about their problem. So I always try to be conscious when someone's talking to me, and just keep in mind that I'm not walking in their shoes. I'm not there. I don't know, but I can be an ear, and I can at least give my 2 cents, because I'm not here to give advice unless it's really asked upon, but I will give my 2 cents in it and give my thoughts, because rather than just listening and go have a good day, I'm like well, how do you feel about that, and what's the next step? What are you doing? In my personal opinion, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that, but I do like this. Where are you at with it? And just this few different questions, I think goes a long way for people, because people say a lot of things on deaf ears,
See,
and
it's funny you're saying this, because that's what's attractive about the native brand. I mean, I know you guys probably. I'm just telling you from my perspective. When I walked into the door, when I see people around town wearing native,
Yeah.
or wearing the 513, that to me is the appealing part of your brand. that you have here, because there's that vibe. It's a vibe of acceptance, of inclusion.
It's welcome back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, most people, that's I think with the branding mechanism that you guys have envisioned and engineered, I think that's what's so appealing about all of this. And, you know, honestly, you two guys, hats off. And I mean, I can't commend you enough, because it's exactly what I think the world needs more of. I mean, as a cynical old white guy who hates cell phones and social media and listen podcasts
And texting when your business partner
yeah.
doesn't know what city
all
you're
of
in.
that's what you guys are doing with social media, what you guys are doing with your branding, I think is really, it's for a guy like me, it's you know, when I look at social media and all I want to focus on is the bad news side of it, I see what you guys are building with this brand, and you guys have no idea how incredibly proud I am to be invited here to talk. I mean, I'm probably boring the hell out of all your listeners.
No, man. No, and it means a lot too, bro, because, you know, and Andrew and I, we got our blinders on, right? Like, you know, we're in the trenches right now, and we're trying to see through all the dust, and it's nice to hear that, you know, the things that we're doing, other people are noticing, because, you know, we built this place for misfits. Like, we know that all these 12-year-olds that come in here, they're not going to buy anything, right? But everyone that comes in, we ask them, how's school going? What are you doing? Do you play sports?
Oh,
you
I
know,
love that.
we always, yeah, for sure.
Some of them at this point have grown up.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like,
Yeah,
I'm telling you what.
There was a kid that came in the other day, and it was like, he walked up to the counter, and he's like, do you remember me? I was like, Jesus, bro, like, you're a man.
Yeah.
You're a man now.
Yeah.
But
4 years
yeah,
is a long time. So
but that's the thing, man. Like, you know, we were those kids one time when he was going to
Yeah.
Cosmic, and like when I was growing up in Chicago, like I would just keep going to the same store, and I would just look at these products, and I would be looking at the HYPERCOLOR shirt and merry-go-round, going, I'm gonna buy that one day.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have the money, but one day that shirt's gonna be
Yeah.
mine. So you know,
Absolutely.
for us, like, you know, we built the store for the misfits and the troublemakers and the ones that kind of feel lost. And, you know, that's me, him, and Tyrell. Like, we all had to sit down and say, look, man, like, I know these kids are giving us trouble, but, like, you know, we built this store for them, so we got to keep making sure that we're doubling down on these kids that come in.
Right.
You know, we used to have a big couch over where the two TVs are on the wall there. But then it just became the kids were here for 3-4 hours at a time.
Yeah.
So we moved it to just the chairs around the counter. But
they get comfortable fast.
Yeah.
The coat comes off. They sit down. They get
This
comfortable.
is
Like,
the
all right.
place I belong.
Yeah, and like as much as we love it, we understood that wall needs to make a little bit of money, so we kind of shifted.
but
yeah.
but the whole start of the company was organically grown, right? Like I started the whole thing out of my backpack, and the first thing I did was I was going to all the bars, right? All the bars that would let me in and let me sell my hats there. I would give the hats to the bartenders, and I would give all the bartenders these little rubber bracelets that says like the Native brand. And on the inside of it, there was a little hidden message that said, I found the lab, and it said the nativebrand.com. So when all the bartenders, when they were working, if somebody said, hey, where'd you get the hat? They could just pull this off and give it to them instead
Oh,
of
that's
stopping to what they were
genius.
doing.
Yeah.
So, but also in doing that, I got all the popular kids in downtown to wear the hats, right? So like that was the whole start of it, and you know that whole organically grown in Ohio thing. That's really it's like just snowballed into where we are today, and it's one of those things where like I had a bunch of friends asking me for new logos and new designs. And I was like, hey, I really just want to stick with that Native Ohio logo for like 6 months. Just let me just keep beating that across everyone's face until it looks relevant. And then once that logo seems like a household name, then I'll start coming out with the other ones. So then I did the Arch logo after the Ohio logo, and then branched out that way. But, you know, when we were building the brand, I had a good talk with a buddy in New York who owns a company called 3 Square Studios. It's a hair salon in the meatpacking district, but he called it 3 Square Studio and didn't have hair salon or anything like that. And he told me, he was like, look, dude, whatever you do, like, don't pigeonhole yourself. He's like, you know, we named this 3 Square Studio so that we can utilize it in other aspects where it's not just a hair salon. And so he was able to get a Nike deal. He has his own Nike shoes that they came out with. He had Zac Efron rent out his building when he was doing one of those. It was a movie like 10 or 15 years ago, but they had the world's biggest mirror. I'm sorry, not the world's biggest mirror. It was the biggest mirror in the Northern Hemisphere. They had 2 of them that they installed in this place. So, but like Zac Efron can go there and do his entire dance routine in this like immaculate. The place would look beautiful.
Awesome.
It was way overdone for a hair salon. But he really got me thinking, so that's why I was like, all right, let's do the native thing with the area codes where it can be like synonymous across the board, where if you've got a high school in Covington, Louisiana, as long as you have colors, we can like pinpoint, your school and match it to your area code. Yeah. That type of vibe. So really like grassroots, like down on the level marketing is what we were trying to do. Like Young and Reckless, like these other popular streetwear brands, they'll do Tokyo, LA, and New York, right? And they'll put all 3 of them on one shirt and just hope that it sells. Yeah. But for us, it's like I wanted to do something different that really just hit a nerve with everybody. Like there's a reason why people move from Boston to Kentucky and still keep their Boston area code phone number, right? Like there's something to it.
Identity.
The identity. So, I learned that a long time ago. So when I was able to trademark the word native, which is almost more impressive than trademarking the area codes in apparel, so we've got the word native and we have all area codes trademarked in apparel. Yeah. So at that point, it's like, all right, let's shoot for the stars. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at this point, man. It's
but
like,
Jay, you've done it in such an ethical, in pure manner that it's just been. I mean, seriously, it's inspiring. I mean, it really is. Even to a guy that's a non-art guy and doesn't know crap about it. It's just you can have, even without knowing the art and the graphic design and just the brilliance of some of the stuff that that's just funny as hell. The Harambe stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Harambe stuff
it's great.
My lifeblood.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Harambe is what brought her in.
Yeah.
Those Harambe masks.
Yeah.
So many people.
I still remember. Yeah.
So many people have those now.
I still have the
but
print.
But it's the genuineness of it, and there's an integrity to it that's really that's kind of touching.
I appreciate it, man. It's hard to replicate, that's for sure, man. Yeah. When it comes down to a clothing store, most people it's come in here and buy. It's like when you walk into PacSun, it's like clothes from the floor to the ceiling.
Yeah. No space.
No space at all. There's not one iota of wall space that isn't allocated to clothes.
Yeah. Well, it's nothing. You walk into a store like that, and it's I always say Steve Jobs had the thing when he was building Apple, and he was talking. Apple was for the misfits. It was for the Alan Turings. It was for the people like
the square
that.
head, the square pegs and the round holes.
Yeah, and when it gets taken over and it gets the guy what did Jobs say when he hired the guy from Pepsi? He goes, God damn it! I've given my company to a guy who sold sugar water.
Yeah.
And we're now we're just mass producing shit.
Yeah.
And and it's the same thing you're describing with like PacSun and everything else. The products here aren't contrived. They're not mass produced to reach the it's not about the almighty dollar. There's some integrity in it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And part of it's like I said, and I think the branding of it that's the genius of it, because when you put on something like that, you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
Even for people like we're discussing, people that feel marginalized, people that feel like they don't belong.
Yeah.
That's the and I think
that's that Corvette wave, man. That's that people see the native 513 and they'll either go what. Because a lot of times people look at it and they think it's like a fire, like police or firemen, like some type of code. But you're like, oh shit, like it's 513 for Cincinnati. You're like, oh shit, obviously, it's like, so there's definitely a relatability there.
Right.
So it's and I don't know if it's just because me, Andrew, and Tyrell and Yam have like such a good rep when it comes to the people that come in here. Like we make sure that we talk with everybody and so that they leave with an experience. But a lot of the times, like that's where we'll get the second and third sale is from somebody going out and talking about the store and talking about the story. So there's a lot of longevity to it that you don't realize. When we're sitting here on our Tuesday shift, we don't think about like every single person coming in and how we're affecting their lives. But when they come in and they see that the lab, if they do end up finding going into the 7-Up room, like it's lights out, man. They look at the whole store completely different. They'll come through and then they'll re-look at the front of the store and then they'll look for the clues and go, oh, okay.
Well, it's also the hours you have too. It makes it it makes it kind of going back to what you guys were both saying earlier, like how it's the hangout spot. But it's like in the summer and once we were allowed to be places at the end of the pandemic, like I was showing up at Native because I knew I was going to see people, get to talk to people. I think I just bought my one Harambe shirt and then I just keep buying Harambe merch as I come because whenever I bring people to the levee to see the movies, and I have a membership up there. So
it's so genius, man.
It's amazing.
It's like 4 movies a week or something.
Yeah. I mean, I can't keep up with it, obviously.
I mean, you
but
can walk out of a movie if you don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how amazing is that?
If I don't think I'm going to like it, I don't go.
There you go.
But so then we were just here this weekend. I brought my little cousins. We all went to see Wonka, which ended up being actually very, very sweet. And
Wonka was?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I brought them in, and I was like, "You have to see the back room." Yeah. So they loved it.
And that's the best part, man. Is like we'll get little 10 or 12-year-old kids that are walking in, and they walk in with so much swag, and their parents are following them, and they're walking right up to the 7-Up door, and it looks like it's behind the counter, right? Like you're not supposed to go up to it. And a lot of the parents are like, "Jimmy, wait." Come back, and Jimmy's like, "No, Mom, look at this."
Yeah.
And then steps on the grass, and it slides open, and Jimmy just looks over his shoulder, and Mom's like, "Can he go back there?" And it's like, "Yeah, he's back there all the time."
Jimmy's
What's up,
like,
Jimmy?
"Watch,
Right, what's up,
lady?"
bud?
Yeah.
Give him a nux real quick.
Yeah.
And that's a huge portion of it is that these youngins. I mean, they can be in college too. Really, they feel like they have a place to go. And I was saying earlier that the music scene really doesn't have the place to go.
No,
So
not anymore.
it just doesn't exist. There's the music venues are spread out amongst the area, and there's not a consistent scene. It's just the way it is. So because we have a consistent thing, a lot of people are coming here on a regular basis, and this is their spot. And I've heard it so many times, like this is my spot. Let me show you guys. And they're not even talking to me. They could care less about us standing behind the desk. They just know this is their spot. They're going to come here. We're going to take photos. And where those photos go on the internet, I don't know. But I know that they feel at home here. And, I mean, we created it like we wanted, if we were having our own house, we'd like this vibe. So when they say this is their home and they feel like they can show all their best friends, like that's the thing. If you can brag about a location, that's pretty cool, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, they can brag about it. They come here and, like, they're flexing on their friends in a clothing store.
Especially at a place in Kentucky.
You know what I mean? Like, they're flexing, in northern Kentucky, in Newport, of all places. You know what I mean? So...
That's what we get a lot, too, man, is like, do you guys... Is this in L.A.? Is this in Chicago? Like, where is this at? It's like, no, this is the only store, and it's in Kentucky.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them are like, why? Like, there's so many confused looks when we said that. But...
everything can be in New York, London, Paris, or Munich, kids.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. There's so many cool things that can happen in Middle America.
Yeah.
I mean, and it really, that's, my generation, everything was like, you and I were talking earlier. It's like it was New York or LA.
Mm-hmm.
David can thank social media and the internet for that.
For what?
For the fact that you can go anywhere in the U.S. and, have a unique community that still has ties outside. You can be...
That's where I'm going to disagree with Jackie.
You can be in Cincinnati.
You could have that before.
Yeah, but it's not the same. It's more accessible no matter what your, financial background is. All you need is that portal to the rest of the world.
Oh, portal.
Hey.
This portal does not exist. We have that on a shirt and a wall. And all over the place.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, this portal does not exist. It's on the wall.
You didn't know that? You didn't plug us?
Here's the
I
thing.
thought you did that on purpose.
No.
That's funny.
Yeah. The portal does not exist.
Whenever I'm here, I don't have my glasses on.
It's subliminal. That's how
It is.
how
It's subliminal.
dope
She
the
knows it
story
now.
is.
It's
She
subliminal.
knows it now.
You'll learn so much. There's so many things that we just are.
What did you tell somebody earlier? What did you say to him? Because I usually say there's a lot to take in.
Oh. The more you look, the more you'll find.
The more you look, the
Oh,
more you
that's
find.
true. Yeah.
I like
I say
that.
that. I say that a lot.
I'm stealing it.
I forget I'm working whole Saturdays and Sundays and doing this the whole day, and you're not here for any of it. Yeah.
The more you
The
look,
more
the
you-
more you find. Ricky Bobby. I got a
Yep.
trademark.
Yep.
Dave, what do you do with your hands?
He's doing.
No, he's like, yeah.
I don't know how to talk with the microphone.
I don't know how to do my hands.
Right.
My hands.
What do I do?
You know, this is as close to Talladega Nights as I'm ever going to get. So this is exceptional.
Mine is every time we have to say a prayer and I want to invoke baby Jesus.
Oh, man. Dude, that scene was so funny though. The fact that they had like every single advertisement sitting on that table. It was like it reminded me of Wayne's World.
Oh.
So when Wayne's World, there was a scene where like after they got picked up and started to have like the big production studio, he's like, I'm not about to sell out to anybody, and he's like wearing like this whole Reebok suit with the Reebok hat.
Yeah.
And then he opens up the Pizza Hut box and he's eating the pizza and then drinking Pepsi. He's like, I'm not selling out to anybody.
Right. It's also like the end of the Lil Dicky
Yeah.
video where he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he's got the piece on. He's just like, man, this is funny.
Yeah, he had the Weed Map shirt on.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
Love it.
Have you guys had any instances with like criminal marijuana possession with people that have had the Kentucky medical card yet?
Not the Kentucky card yet. We haven't gotten that, but we've had a lot of people. We get a lot of crossover where people are in Ohio and Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And the big problem we get, and it varies from judge to judge, is, what do you do when you have the medical ability to have it in one state, but you're on probation or parole to a judge in Kentucky?
Right.
And, there's some judges that are like, I'm not going to stand between you and your doctor. And then there's other judges that are like,
Nope.
you need to follow this rule. It's illegal in Kentucky, and this is... You made the mistake in Kentucky that brought you in front of me.
Right.
And as a defense attorney, my position always is, you need to be on, like, church boy behavior. You
Right.
need to behave more than anybody else needs to behave, because if you're in front of a judge, they have a thumb on the scale.
Oh yeah.
So, like I had one.
That judge is judging everything you say.
Yeah.
That judge is trust no one.
Yeah. And I had one client, and I really took his case to heart, and I got him a really good resolution, and it was an unusual resolution in which he would be able to maintain some semblance of normal life. And then after his sentencing, while he's in the community, he tested positive for marijuana, and people take it so lightly because it is just marijuana. For some people, it's an everyday thing. It's not the same as any other substance that really comes in front of us. But it was just like, to me, the idea of, just stepping aside of all the work that his community, his attorney, the prosecutor even, and the judge did to, make that opportunity available to him.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even, I had concluded my business in the case, but I was like, I can't even look at this case right now.
Right.
Because it was just like, it's just so obvious. Once you're under the jurisdiction of the court, it's like being a kid again.
Mm-hmm.
You got parents, and your parents got rules.
Yep. Yeah. I hear that.
Now that being said, I will say this, and I'm going to say this is the only 50-year-old man you'll ever meet who's never smoked weed or ever done any of that stuff.
You're not the only one, David.
But dumbest rules we've ever made in this country. I mean, of all the things, we're trying to regulate a plant.
Yeah.
So, it's the. I will say this, not just as an attorney, but as somebody who's just fascinated with life in general.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the best books. I'm gonna give a book a plug.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a book called The Botany of Desire. It was written by a guy from the New York Times named Michael Pollan, and 4 plants. It's all the book is about.
His name's Michael Pollan.
Michael Pollan.
It's about
I know.
plants.
I was
should-
like,
The irony of that is
I should just
yes.
yeah.
Let that waft over you.
Yeah.
But he talks about the potato, the tulip, the apple, and marijuana. And, all of them fail. Okay, the tulip ruined the Dutch economy in the 1500s.
How so?
Because the price of a single tulip bulb was millions and millions of dollars. The Empress Augusta tulip bulb, one bulb was basically, it ballooned to the price of, say, $30 million in equivalent money right now, and it ruined the Dutch economy.
Holy cow.
But yeah, there's books on that.
Interesting.
The
I like
app-
that it's the tulip and not the poppy.
No, but it was the tulip. Tulips.
They're
were
like,
great.
this is more important.
If you ever
Yeah.
go to a good
Yeah.
friend of mine who passed away, was an attorney I went to law school with, loved him dearly, but he used to love to go to Amsterdam because Amsterdam is filled not only with hash bars, but with great public art and a tulip garden called Keukenhof. And he would always go in the
Okay.
spring and the fall because they would
Aw.
have the tulips bloom both in the fall and the spring. And he said, Steele, you go to one of these hash bars, you order off the menu, you get stoned, and he goes, you know how they have the hot dog carts in New York? He goes, in Amsterdam they got French fries with this really good French fry sauce. So you get stoned, you walk around the city with a big thing of French fries, and you just look at all this beautiful art and see all these gorgeous tulips. And he goes,
They
it's the
planned it
great-
that way.
He goes,
Yeah.
and, my poor friend died, of ALS a few years ago. But
Sorry to hear that.
I'll never forget him talking about that. And I was like, damn it, when I turn 50, I'm going to get stoned for the first time and go to Amsterdam.
Dave,
Yeah.
There you go.
My mom died 3 days before my 50th
Oh my
birthday,
God.
so I was like, son of a
Man.
Oh, man.
She,
Sorry
she
to
knew
hear
it was
that.
going to happen.
Rest in
She-
peace.
she wasn't
Rest in
gonna let me
peace,
do
though.
that.
Rest in peace. you
she
know?
wanted you to keep to your roots and behave.
Keep sober. Keep sober. But but it's all 4 of these plants are fascinating. It's like the apple. Okay, you ever heard of Johnny Appleseed?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Johnny Appleseed
familiar.
was a real person,
Yeah.
and he was.
I
a
like
nur-
this
he was,
story.
He was,
David's told me
he was a
before.
nurseryman, and living in Ohio and being natives to the 513.
All right.
What Johnny Appleseed, he died a multimillionaire up in Massachusetts. But how he made his money was this: when Ohio had the homestead laws, the fling trees and plant them about 20 miles ahead of whatever wave of immigration was coming in the 1820s and 18 teens.
How did he know it was coming?
Well, because people were moving into, Kentucky.
Just the expansion.
the expansion of the U.S. from
Just giving context to the story.
yeah. So in Indiana, Ohio, and Illinois are the only 3 states in the country that have the distinction of what, Andrew?
I don't know the
They
answer to
were-
that,
they-
Andrew. Don't feel.
Not studied enough.
They were not settled east to west.
Or north
They were-
to south?
Did
They
they
were
just
settled
the
south to
river?
north.
South to north.
Yes,
Why south first?
because if you ever heard of Case Western Reserve University?
Yeah.
You ever heard of the Western Reserve in Pittsburgh and
No.
in that area? After the French and Indian War, before the U.S. became a country, Fort
Okay.
Duquesne in Pittsburgh stopped westward expansion onto the Western Reserve, which was reserved for the Indian allies who fought with the British during the French and Indian War. So the Brits in the U.S. initially honored that. Problem was Daniel Boone and a bunch of assholes decided, hey, we can't make a living in the Carolinas. Let's go west. So they went through the Cumberland Gap into Kentucky. People got to Kentucky, and suddenly, you get to Kentucky and you realize there's about 50 acres of real farmland.
Mm-hmm.
Then you cross the Ohio River, and you go about 10 miles into Ohio. As soon as you get up to like Mason, everything gets tabletop flat. The soil is just wonderful. And remember, everybody does the play Tecumseh here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
What was that all about? People in Kentucky, as soon as the harvest came in Kentucky and Boonesboro and Richmond and Lexington, hey, let's get drunk on our bourbon that we distilled
Yeah.
and go kill Indians.
Oh shit.
my
So
God,
that's what they
David.
did. And that's why Indiana, Ohio. Abraham Lincoln's from where, Jackie? Born
Illinois?
in Kentucky.
Yeah, he's from
Yeah,
Kentucky.
he was
He's from Northern
born-
Kentucky?
No, he's from Hardin County. Hardin County, Elizabethtown.
No shit.
Yeah, that's where the big Lincoln Memorial. There's a big Lincoln.
So
Park
he is claimed by both Kentucky
Yeah.
and
Illinois.
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 But he
Yeah.
spent his childhood in Indiana
yeah,
because his father couldn't move north.
because there's also that house on the drive back from
Right.
Davis County, which is where that internet phenomenon new deputy is stationed.
Yeah. So
Internet phenomenon.
The one that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, that's
Yeah.
that's the whole. But Johnny Appleseed had made his fortune by selling trees, apple trees, to people who were moving into Ohio and Indiana, and you can still visit some of these.
He was selling the trees, like the seedlings.
selling the seedlings, so
Okay.
people, so homesteaders, when they applied for homestead, to get their 50 acres or whatever,
Yeah.
could plant their orchards. So he made a fortune doing that. He would go up to the cider mills in Pittsburgh, get the seeds, plant the seeds, and sell them.
So he was hustling.
He was hustling. He
Yeah.
was basically.
So was his real name Johnny Appleseed, or was that his nickname?
That was his nickname.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's his
but
real name?
I cannot remember his
Johnny Applebaum.
Yeah. Johnny
Applebottom.
Applebottom.
Applebaum.
Let
Let's go with
Johnny
Apple.
Johnny
Applebottom
Hustle.
jeans.
But anyway, we
Johnny
talks
Hustle,
about these
yeah.
4 plants, and it and it eventually winds up with marijuana, and it talks about the best botanists, the best gardeners of my generation, probably your generations,
Yeah.
aren't growing potatoes. They're not growing wheat. They're not working for Monsanto.
Some of them are.
Maybe some of them, but most of them are doing what? I mean, when I first started practicing law, who ran the remember the Daniel Boone National Forest? The best pot in the nation was grown where? In Kentucky.
I
In the
didn't know that.
Yeah, the Daniel Boone National Forest.
Really?
Yes.
Is that Woody Harrelson over there?
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did you know Woody Harrelson got busted with a pot farm in Kentucky?
He did.
Yeah.
That's
He
hilarious.
did.
No, I
You know
don't-
Woody's actually from. He grew up in Mason.
Yeah.
his
That's why I like
His
him.
dad went to federal prison.
Yeah.
His
He's a
dad-
hitman.
He was a hitman and
What?
tried to kill a federal judge in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa.
actually didn't try. He killed a federal judge in Houston,
Eee.
got convicted of it, so he went to live with his mom's family in Mason.
That's
He grew up
crazy.
in Mason.
Have you heard that Woody Harrelson and who's the handsome dude? Matthew McConaughey are
Yeah.
brothers.
Yes.
So this only came out like maybe 6 months ago or so, but apparently they've got the same. How did that work? Man, I'm gonna mess this up because they met each other at a party,
Yeah.
and Woody's mom was there, and Woody was like, "This is Matthew something." She's like, "Oh, I know." There was something about that where it was like either she couldn't have cheated on him. It must have been his dad that cheated on his mom
Ooh.
with
That's spicy.
somebody else. But anyways, I mean the resemblance is crazy, and their attitudes are like spot on. They're both like, bongo drumming
They
like
have the
potheads,
voice.
right? Yeah. But like,
Southern hippies.
I want to know more about that. But
Yeah.
obviously, like, I think Woody was the one that was kind of like, we're just gonna let it slide because I don't want to hurt my mom's feelings.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I need to know.
Yeah,
more
we gotta
about
dive
this.
into
I'm
that
I'm
one.
going to
already
give you
like-
the greatest
is the
Matthew
best thing I've ever heard.
McConaughey film ever.
All right.
And I just had to look it up on my phone.
Okay.
I caught this. There was Matthew loved his weed, as
Oh, yeah.
did Woody.
Oh yeah.
He made a movie called Surfer Dude.
Okay.
I highly encourage anybody out there who's listening to this podcast, if they like marijuana, to watch the movie Surfer
Says the
Dude,
person
who's never done pot in his life, but watch that movie because it is everybody in Hollywood who's ever done reefer or anything like that is in that movie. Willie Nelson plays a goat herder in that movie.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Olivia Wilde is in it. It is the worst movie you will ever see in your life. But it was just a thing to let's get some people together and have fun, man.
When was it made?
2008.
Okay.
Yeah,
No.
but it is absolutely one of the funniest late night things you know you will ever watch in your life. You know, and it's hilarious, and it deals with nothing but a guy who wants to smoke weed and surf waves in California.
Nice.
Yeah.
The internet is unsure about Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, but Woody Harrelson seems to be repeating that he believes they are brothers.
Oh, Woody does believe it?
Yeah.
Okay.
From a quick scope.
I mean, Woody's the man, dude. Like, you know, you're talking like even back when he was doing Cheers, like he just
it was great.
yeah, like his aura, just like his presence on stage is incredible,
Yeah.
man. Compared to, you know, most actors, you know,
Yeah.
I don't even think he went to acting school. I think I remember hearing something where he was kind of just picked out of the crowd, kind of like John Connor.
Well, that was Matthew McConaughey too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
He
man.
would-
Did you ever hear the whole thing with like all right, all right, all right? You know how that came about, right?
No,
Matthew McConaughey, and you know this from watching the games last night.
I do.
McConaughey was on the Texas sideline all night long, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
as he should be.
He was a junior at the University of Texas when a film producer came in, and they started filming that
Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. So he met this producer. He was bartending in a bar in Austin. And the guy came in and goes, you know, man, you'd be perfect for this part. It's not much of a part, but, you know, you could say a few lines in it. And he always talks about how he came up with the line, all right, all right, all right. He goes, man, this character that he plays in Dazed Confused, he's 20-some years old, but he's still into high school chicks.
Ugh.
And he's talking about how, hey, every year I get older, but they stay the same. And he goes, what is this guy's essence? He goes, he's like Jim Morrison. He goes, what is Jim Morrison into? Rock and roll. Girls. Getting high. Having a good time. He goes, well, rock and roll check. All right. Girls, all right. He goes, well, I'm 3 or 4. He goes, all right, all right, all right. So that's where that whole thing came
That's
from.
crazy.
And he talks about it, but that was his big break.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you know, he was just a bartender in college.
Yeah, he had to call his dad, and he was like, I'm basically leaving college, and I'm going to go pursue acting. And his dad, like, he said everything his dad said. He's like, it was just a bunch of loud, mad response. He's like, but I'm going to go act, and that's what he did.
That would be
That's
you.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to call his, that story is fascinating.
Yeah.
The Matthew McConaughey, like, how he became what he
Yeah.
became is just like, he's like, yeah, I'm giving up all of this to go act. I'm going to go out to California and do that now. And his dad was like, what? And like,
It's crazy how like producers or film directors can just see something in somebody. Like Sean William Scott, when he was picked to be Stifler, he was working at like Lowe's or Home Depot.
No kidding.
Like he was helping somebody out in the aisle, and they were like, you know what?
yeah.
I think you could be this guy named Stifler.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like,
How but how bad do you have to be at Lowe's? Because Stifler was such an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, hey man, where's your lumber? It's like, fuck, do I know?
yeah, right.
The sign
right.
says it. Like, come on. Why are you
Sign
even
says wood.
right? You're here, dude.
And the same thing for Eddie Terminator 2. Eddie, man, I was in a movie with him. I've got his fucking name on my phone. Eddie Furlong, Edward Furlong.
Edward
Oh.
Furlong.
So Edward Furlong was the John
I've-
Connor from Terminator 2.
I was in the prosecutor's office in Boone County when he was arrested.
I
at the
was
Bigs.
supposed to be with him that
at
night.
the
Yeah.
Bigs in Boone County. So
Yeah.
I was in the prosecutor's office when he
What
got
year
arrested.
was
was-
this? Andrew and I can tell you guys where we were.
I was at his hotel the next morning when he got released. I ended up I became friends with I was on the movie set, but I became friends with the producer of the movie, and Eddie while he was here. So they were staying right behind the Best Buy in Florence.
Yeah.
And so that night, it was a Thursday. We were supposed to go to this bar right off of Mount Zion. And they didn't end up showing up, but I ended up going back to the hotel and crashed there. But Eddie ended up getting arrested that night, and then his producer Andre had to get him out. But I still remember I was laying on the couch in the hotel room, and Eddie came in, and he was still like super hungover.
Yeah.
And right when he walked in from getting out of jail, he walks in. He's looking for the bottle of vodka. I swear to God.
Yeah.
He's like, where's that bottle at? I'm like, hair of the dog that bit you, huh? And he's like, man, if you stay drunk, you never get hungover. And it's like, holy cow, bro. Okay. But that was so he got arrested for he went into the
Biggs.
The big or was it Biggs?
It was Biggs back
So-
then.
yeah,
The
yeah,
big
before
store right on
Myers.
Houston Road.
So he went in there and he freed a bunch of the lobsters that were in the tank.
I can get behind that.
And he took them out of the tank and put them on the ground. He was running around going, free the lobsters, free the lobsters.
Where are they supposed to go?
Right?
They're trapped.
Hey, but like we're
If the lobsters could talk, like, hey, fucker, we're in Florence. Put us back in the
Bro,
tank.
like put me back in.
dude,
there,
that's
man. You're doing. I can't survive this.
that's one of my favorite
Lobster
scenes
tank.
was from a movie
Lobster
called
Lobster
the
bisque.
Rum Diaries with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Was it the Rum Shoe Diaries? The rum
was the-
drunk rum diaries? I don't
The
know.
Rum Diaries.
What's
I
with Johnny
remember,
Depp doing all these rum-related roles?
You
Oh,
are what
yeah,
you,
for
you are
sure.
what you drink.
But there was there was a scene in
That's
that
typecasting.
there was a scene in that movie where he was playing Hunter S. Thompson,
Yep.
but he walks up to this fish tank and there's a lobster in there, and the lobster
Oh, was
starts
that Fear and
talking to him.
Was that Fear and Loathing?
No, that was Rum Diaries.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it was another one of
Yeah.
the
Hunter-
Hunter S. Thompson movies. But the lobster looks at him and goes something like, "Humans are the only species on Earth that believe in a God, but they're also the only species on Earth that acts like there is none." And he was just tripping, and he was just staring at this lobster, and like just in like Hunter S. Thompson fashion, like you hear the voice in his head. He's like, "The lobster's telling me the truth."
Yeah. I mean,
know.
it's just, the Hunter S. Thompson stories, you know where Hunter's from, right?
He's from what, Dayton?
No, he's from Louisville.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, his mom was the head librarian for the Louisville Public Library system.
Oh, wow.
And
That makes sense.
If you ever want to look at and it's a documentary where the guy, he ran for mayor of Aspen.
Shut up.
No. Back in the 70s, he ran for mayor of Aspen and damn near won. Or actually not mayor, sheriff. Sheriff of Aspen.
No kidding.
And
that would have been amazing.
Yes,
dude.
they made a movie. They've just made another movie because he made a documentary while he was doing it. But they made a movie, a Hollywood movie of it, and it's absolutely, I mean, it's just the best acted. That one's actually one you can watch and just think, this one's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Johnny Depp when Hunter S. Thompson passed away? What he asked?
No.
So Hunter S. Thompson wanted his ashes to put in a cannon and shot over like the Grand Canyon or something. So
Yeah.
Johnny Depp did what he asked. He shot his ashes over. So I don't know if it was the Grand Canyon, but it was somewhere where
Yeah.
he fucking just exploded him, just blew him up.
I'm gonna do that for you, Dave.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just tell us where.
Yeah.
It'll
Report
be
on the
here.
levee.
It'll be here. I just won't tell you guys. You'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so dusty today.
I'm an old white guy. Just don't do it near the river. I'll wind up in Mexico. No, Jose, don't drink the water. God damn it.
I'm just gonna put a little bit of the Dave dust everywhere I go.
There you
the
go.
Dave
Sprinkle it like fairy dust.
I mean, Dave has a wealth of knowledge. He's
I
a,
don't know about
Yeah.
yeah, he's
It's-
coming out like I was just gonna say he just knows something from everything.
I'm just happy we haven't talked about fishing.
I was
Until you say it
I was
now.
gonna bring up your dancing though. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Speaking of fish,
I mean, I guess all I can do is say that I go to a very, very fun, flirty fitness gym called Posh Fitness, owned by my friend Sonia Wells. And so some of what we do, we have a bunch of different like fun classes, basically stuff that keeps you from being bored because nothing else working out has ever, kept my attention.
Yeah, for sure.
So we do some pole tricks, and I'm basically trying to become the next Cirque du Soleil attorney.
The next or the only?
I think the only.
Yeah. That's amazing, man.
But actually, David, myself, and Armania, our assistant, have all been college athletes in our own way.
Oh,
so
very cool.
Armania was a volleyball player for UC. And now she works for us. She's going to go to law school, and then we're going to hopefully convince her to come back. David played football for 2 weeks, got hit by someone.
By an All-American. We had 2 All-Americans on the University of Utah football team when I was there.
He got hit by
one.
one.
Of them,
Ah.
and it hurt really, really bad.
And he quit because
Yeah.
he doesn't like to be uncomfortable. And and so David was an athlete, and then I was on the equestrian team. So I sat
Oh, dope.
on an animal and was like, "You do the work."
Right.
So that was also a club sport. So I was the least qualified of the 3 athletes. But that's the kind of stuff
Shit, that's-
I've done. That I played soccer, but anything where I don't have to focus on lifting a weight or how much I'm suffering. Like I can't even do yoga unless there's some Megan Thee Stallion going on in the background.
For sure, yeah. I hear you on that, man. It's hard to get motivated for sure, but that equestrianism isn't easy by any means.
Mm-mm.
You know, I actually met a guy.
Jackie's horse is doing fine now. Jackie's horse is happy.
Do you
I do
actually
not
have?
own a horse.
Okay,
I don't
was,
know what
I was gonna say
The
there.
horse that you were doing the equestrian stuff on, where's he at now? How's he doing? What's he saying about you, Jackie? That's what I
Well,
want to know.
Timon is probably like, wow, I really wish that girl was rich so she could have bought me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Then Edward Furlong would have to not give up setting lobsters free, but go to your farm and
Yes.
free the horses.
No,
Feed the
Timon
horses.
would be free because I'd be too lazy to go out there every day because I wouldn't want to wake up early.
I remember back in college, I had to do an article on the equestrian games in Lexington.
Oh, yeah. We've
that was-
talked about this. We were
Yeah.
both there.
Yeah, yeah. It was a whole thing. It was a rough experience for me. It's the reason I got out of journalism as a degree. It became my minor, but
Was
like,
the horse world in
the
general?
horse- well, the whole situation, it just opened my. I'm glad the situation happened because it led me to a different path. But like, just realizing how the world doesn't work with journalists and doesn't like not the general public. It's the ones that are like
the people in
owners,
power.
the people in
Yeah.
power do not want journalists anywhere near it. But there's so many of them, so it's like a cutthroat, dog eat dog world. But when you try to get information, they don't want to give information. And as a college student, it was like super discouraging. You're just like, this.
Yeah.
What am I working toward?
It's
like
just baby
everyone's
Andrew crying.
everyone's shutting doors in your face every time you're like trying to get anything done, and they're like, we don't want to talk to you. Good luck on your journey. I'm like, you're the journey. Like, you're the only one that gets me to the finish line. And they're like, well, sorry, you're not getting anything from me, little homie. You're not doing nothing here. Like this stops right now. I'm not even answering your questions. And I was like, all right, I guess I got to figure it out. Back to the professor, and like, she's like, well, you got to go back to him, talk to him. He's the one that's got all the information. I'm like.
Yeah, that's how that guy on Oprah
Leave
ended
a
up
million
making up all
voicemails.
his
Were you
stories.
like writing spotlight stories on the
I was
equestrian
at the equestrian games. I had to cover. I had to talk to one of the horse owners, and he didn't want to talk to any journalist, whether it was a college student or not. So he didn't.
What were you at? I mean, what?
Nothing. He just wouldn't answer my
He was
question.
like,
Eventually,
what do you like for breakfast? And the
I-
guy was like, no
no,
comment.
first I got his number, and I thought it was going to be an easy thing. I gave him a phone call, and he picked up, and I was like, hello. Because at the time it was the article I was writing was for the college called BCTC, and I was like, I'm a journalist.
yeah.
I'm a journalist for BCTC, and I'm here to talk about the equestrian games coming up here soon, and working for newspapers on a couple different angles. But right now, I'm trying to do the horse thing, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stop you right there, journalist." You said. I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Hey, have a good day. I'm not willing to talk. Sorry," and he hangs up. And I was like, "What? Doesn't willing to
That
talk?"
would probably be me, though, if I was someone
Yeah.
with money and power.
He was nice the first time,
like
kinda.
that level. Like,
Yeah.
See,
losing money from billionaire to millionaire status on horses, that level, I'd be like,
the
I don't
evil
talk
prick
to
in
you
me just
people.
wants to go. Listen, Jack. A story's getting written. It could either be on rich horse,
Your terms?
horse owners, allegations of bestiality within the horse racing
my
industry, or a nice little puff piece on the equestrian games.
Your call.
Which one do you want it to be?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So he hung up on me. And so I was like, all right, well, what do I do now? So I went back to my professor, and she was like, what are you calling me for? She's like, the assignment's already out. Go get the
That's
information.
journalism, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And I was like, but like, he's not trying to talk to me. And she's like, he's not obligated to do anything. You got to get the information. That's what you're doing. And I knew that, but I didn't realize, like, up until this point, it was only the difficult because we were I wrote about the smoking ban when it first happened in Lexington. I was doing
What was that?
art
Smoking ban.
smoking
smoking
ban.
He heard
They-
man. I heard man
yeah.
too. That's why.
smoking ban.
Yeah.
Like banning cigarettes from the campus.
Like 10 feet from
Yeah.
every building.
Like the students didn't care. I quickly realized none of them cared that it was banned. Like no one cared. It was like you ask questions like I don't care, bro.
Yeah, because the smokers aren't going to follow it, and everybody else is like, we know they're not going to follow it.
Right. And then I had done articles on like the music scene in Lexington, which at the time wasn't really a thing. There was no places to play. This was 2009, 2010 era. So like there wasn't really like it wasn't a big. There still isn't a lot there, but like at the time, definitely not. And so I was trying to cover music, but this one assignment was for the equestrian games, so I had to like get this information, and it was a big assignment. And I called him about a dozen times, sent him emails, sent him text messages, everything, and he wouldn't answer until because I finally got through to him, and I told him the teacher's name because they had both lived in New York, and she worked for the New York Times, and they had crossed their paths. That's how I got his information in the first place. And when he learned her, he's like, oh, you're working for her. Oh, that's cool. I'll give you this information. So he gave me like the bare minimum that I could have probably looked up on Wikipedia, really. And I finally got the article. It took like 2 months to get. Yeah, it was a lot of work for just one like 3 or 4 inch. It was like a 4-inch article. So like 2 inches that I put together and wrote this article, and it took me 2 months to get there.
Just me citing Wikipedia.
It was just not a good time. So when I transferred,
my daughter in Oregon studying journalism right now.
it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's
hard.
incredibly hard.
Yeah, so like I was good at copy edit.
Yeah.
So like I'm good at like punctuation and grammar and vocabulary and just knowing, like I can read it and just know where there's something should be. You know what I mean? Which is my Achilles heel in life because when I screw up on, I get so mad at myself. I'm like, no one's paying attention to that, but I do. Yeah, so like journalism was a really hard time because they just don't, whether you're a student or you're a professional, they do not want to give you the information because I think it's like we live in a world where everyone's assuming the negative about what come from it. And I wasn't even trying to like expose anything in the horse industry, but he, in his mind, there's a lot of things to expose, whether it's drug related or whatever the case may be, and like improper raising of horses or whatever. But I'm telling you, I left him.
That's the story right there.
His phone probably had like 10 different voicemails from me.
is.
Like I was just
For no reason, he has repeatedly denied contact repeatedly
for a
denied
while.
questions from this newspaper.
Yeah, and just a college publication. It wasn't even anything like.
Yeah, it's
it was,
not like 60 Minutes or the Spotlight. The Boston Globe Spotlight team is coming to your door to talk about your drugging of animals.
Well,
Right.
it just kind of goes back to, it's like full circle. It's just the people that don't. I mean, I think that, it could be like, hey, I don't want to talk about my horse. I've been burnt before with the media, but I know somebody who does like to talk. Like, let me give you their contact info.
None of that.
It's somebody who doesn't care about helping someone. I mean, if a college student were to call David or myself or either the two of you, we would be like, let's see how we can help you.
Sure,
we want to
yeah.
propel you forward. You're somebody that's interested in going and getting something. So, I might not be able to be the person that helps you, but let's hook you up with someone who can.
For sure.
Yeah, he was not interested.
But it is a double-edged sword in what we do. Like criminal cases, I always say beware of attorneys who want to immediately run to the press and start, because, again, juries try cases, not the press.
If you're running to the press, you better be talking with somebody that manages how you talk to the press. It's not just you. You can't rely on only your thoughts when it's the fate of your client at your hands, because somebody can take that short thing just the way Dave did and twist it to a completely different story.
Yeah. I think that's what he was worried about. But it was the reason, that whole thing was the reason I decided, I was like, I'm not going to continue this. So I transferred back to Northern Kentucky and went to NKU, and I was like, hey, I want to get out of journalism. I don't want to be in it anymore. I've had bad experience. He's like, no worries. He's like, but you've spent like 2.5, 3 years doing it. Like, you can't just throw that time away. So I made it my minor, finished up some classes, went communications with my major, and like public speaking focused and whatever. But like, yeah, that experience ruined it real quick for me. But I did like my teacher. She let me write articles about like the music scene, and I got to go to concerts and review them and record them and do that. That was a great
Where,
treat.
back in Lexington.
Mhm. That was a lot of bands. I got to see Omarosa, and I got to cover them. They're like they're a pretty decent size band. There was quite a few, but Omarosa was probably the biggest one I got to cover. But like that, and Opeth was there. Opeth came through, and I got to cover them. And then, there was this one big metal band that I got to.
What was the theater? Where's the theater? But there was a theater, like, because you and I like drive by truckers, but there's a theater down in London, or not London, but Lexington, that it's kind of like the Madison here, where they get touring bands, some of these bands, and I can't remember.
Are you talking about the Opera House?
It might be the Opera House. I mean, is that it?
The Opera House, yeah, but
Yeah.
It's not like Madison. That's a little different.
Yeah.
That's seating.
Okay.
The Madison Theater, the seating there that's just a tiered venue, so you're
Yeah.
just different. I mean, it's all general admission except the crying room. The crying room upstairs is where you can get a special ticket, but the Opera House, I mean, I've only been once, but it's a little different of vibe. But yeah, there's not a lot of music venues in Lexington. Oh well, now there might be more. I'm not really familiar now, but
The
back
Burl.
then there was
Now they have the
nothing.
Burl.
The Burl.
Yeah,
There's
it's like kind of it's in the warehouse or the distillery. Is it the warehouse or the distillery district? But it's like there's like an arcade bar. It's kind of like a little
Everything's
campus.
arcade bars these days.
Well, I mean, it lasted longer than 16-bit.
Yeah, 16-bit. They moved the whole entire concept. They still are doing the games thing. They just moved the locations pretty much and changed the name.
They teamed up with
Pins.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. But now 16-bit, it's a new gaming spot in that same location.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Yeah, they opened something else there. I can't remember the name. But
8-bit.
32-bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was my experience, and it was rough. Like, then I realized I was like, you know what? I just rather do copy edit. But copy edit's not very something that like
Fulfilling.
it is. It's just to me like, hey, later, dude.
See you, brother. Hey, did you get your charger? Did you grab your charger? Did you
Hi,
grab
Dave.
the charger?
Always a public
Cool.
service announcement.
Always, yeah.
Just trying to make sure he's got that fast charger, man.
Yeah.
He left it here last
He
week.
left it here and have it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that was Yaman. Shout out to him. He's
Courtside Flow.
Dropping. Yeah, Courtside Flow. Coming out with the new branding. Later, dude.
All right, bro.
Yeah. So, but like when I transferred back from like the journalism thing, I went into NKU and I got into their copy edit program because that was like the remaining stuff that I had, and I quickly realized that I was really good at just picking out the problems of it. So I excelled in that period of time with journalism, but I was so anxious to get out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you got a sour taste for it, it's like it's hard to shake. I couldn't, yeah. And that dude.
Well, it's work.
It
You have a
was
sour
so-
taste and it's work.
It's work, but it's like work that there's no relief. It's like you're on your own, and the other people are your gatekeepers, and they're all gatekeepers, and they are fine to be gatekeepers, and they're willing to like let you be stranded because they're not inclined to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no one there that's like, hey, like we're gonna assist you in this. They're like, I stand in the way of you being successful, but I don't really care, or I don't really want to partake in this.
Yeah.
You're failing. And they will just let you, like, that's it. Like, good luck.
Bye.
And you go back to your professor, and they're like, well, you have to do this, so have a good day.
Yeah.
And because that's it. And
Got to
then
pivot. Got to figure out a
yeah,
way.
so I just became really annoyed, and I blew up his phone a lot, and emails and texts, and eventually he got tired of that, and I got my answer. But it just, when I got the copy edit, there's no other people to bother you. You're just looking for errors. They would give you this sheet, 100 errors, and you get the grade based on how many you figured out whether it's a small apostrophe or there should be a space in between things or whatever. Like they'll put a space between anyway when anyway is one word or whatever the case may be, and they'll do all those little things. And I'd crush those. And I was like, this is easy. I don't have to have a human stand in my way. I just have to figure it out. So I did well at that. But then communications with like public speaking, I really liked that because I could speak my mind and it was worth something. People listened because we started teaching public speaking like through NKU at United Way and Red Cross. So
Very cool.
we taught classes, my senior year, and that was a lot of fun because these were people that are taking the classes legitimately needing information and help because they would be managers at like, let's say Delta, and they'd have a manager a whole department, but they weren't good at the public speaking part. So we would teach them the best way to be effective on talking to people, whether it's like making eye contact to everyone in the crowd or, really being conscientious of like the topics you're talking about might get mundane. So you have to spice it up, understanding the air conditioning goes at a certain decibel and how loud you have to speak, and understand the people at the back may not be getting the information later than the people in the front, because the people in the front are more engaged and usually are people that are they're more inclined to be aggressive, and the people in the back might be more timid. So you have to understand the dynamics where people are sitting and just different things with that. And we would teach that. I mean, I did quite a few classes, but everyone in our class did that. So that was stuff I enjoyed a lot, and I was really glad to get out of the journalism thing. But I'm still enjoying journalism. I do it now on a regular basis.
So
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's just, but there's not someone here when I'm talking to you. You're like, well, I'm not going to talk to you. Like when you're on the podcast, Dave, you're like, well, I'm not talking to you. If that's the case, that would be a really hard time. We would have a hard podcast. It'd be me talking to myself, and you'd be pleading the fifth, and
Let
so.
me ask you a question, because I'm not I'm the 50-year-old white guy, as I keep saying. I'm new to the whole podcast thing. So
You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
He made himself
But
younger.
here's the question I've got. I mean, we've talked a lot tonight about community and the things that you guys are building. The podcast. I mean, how many subscribers do you guys have?
So it's hard to gauge because we go live on podbean.com, which is our thing that puts it on everything. So we got it on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. We like a year ago we were getting probably 5,000 views per podcast. Probably 4,000 to 5,000. And then something happened with Facebook, and it just dropped down to like 20 to 50.
Yeah.
Now
Facebook will throttle you.
Yeah.
Right.
So now we're getting back up there again. We're using the ad followers and that highlights to boost it up. But when we go on the podbean.com like schematics to see it, like we've got people in Sri Lanka, in the Philippines, and in Ireland.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people all over the world that listen to it, which is really cool.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: we've talked a lot about building communities. What are you guys doing as far as this to like try to build relationships with the people who listen to your podcast and get them excited about the native brand, excited about the things that you guys are doing in the community?
I think it kind of comes down to the guests that we bring on and the consistency. So where the consistency allows people to something they can rely on and they can know it's going to happen on a regular basis. And the guests that we're bringing on bring a lot of value. Just like yourselves, you're bringing a lot of value to us. Much like we're bringing value to you, so you can.
I'm
going
to need a note from my wife when I go home to say that I'm bringing value to anything on
There
this
you
one.
go.
Hey, you can
Shout out to Peggy.
Hey, shout out. Hey. Yeah, I think the value on the guests and the consistency, those combinations is what really separates us, because most podcasts only last 3 podcasts. That's what most people get to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is 198.
Yeah.
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 Almost 200.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
National
pretty-
average is
that
3
is really
podcasts, and then
crazy.
people throw in the towel.
Really?
Yeah. Because we live in a society where there's over
Everybody wants it now, and it's like if I didn't get the followers in the first 3, I'm not going to go for the 4th.
yeah.
Right.
But that's in again, guys. That's my whole problem with this whole thing.
Yeah.
We've led to it. It's like we've become a nation addicted to instant gratification.
Instant gratification. That's
First
the
of all, I
problem.
find no problem with my addiction to instant gratification.
But again, if we're talking about the core things that we've talked about tonight, building communities, building brands, longevity.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, those things are built with what you guys have done, and hopefully, what you guys think we've done it's hard work, it's commitment, it's putting your head down, putting in the work.
Oh yeah.
Time.
And things aren't going to come, easily.
Yeah.
And
If you build it, they will come. That's kind of how I view things. If you build it, they will come. Big part of Beyond the Stage is, in my mind, there was a space, and I was like, if I build it, they will come. It doesn't have to be like, I was trying to make it faceless for a while, but I've recently posted the team photo on Instagram.
I saw that.
I was trying to make it faceless originally. That was my intention, but I was talking to the guys and like,
Gotta give
no.
homies credits. You
Yeah,
gotta
and like,
boost their ego.
and even beyond that too, like,
People want to know the
who's
people
doing it.
behind
Yeah, they
too.
want to see the behind the scenes, and it allows us to have faces to what's going on.
But it's more than that, though.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's also about being able to like you're talking about being a kid going to the mall and going to Cosmos. It's almost like that thing where you want to like see how the sausage is made, to use that metaphor.
Okay,
But you
yeah,
become part of a community by going someplace and seeing things and exposing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the. I think that's part of the genius of what you guys have brought on. Like we're talking about, the product, the lawsuit and everything, and the fabric you're wearing.
So cool.
Yeah.
It's
Look at the colors on it.
yeah,
too.
it's just, but you become immersed in that, and you become immersed in that culture and in that community, where you you want to be part of something. And
Yeah.
regardless of where we are technologically in the world, this is always, everybody talks about this as part of the information revolution, right?
Right.
But the information revolution, if you really think about it, for the mass of it, it's been pretty unfulfilling. This may have brought us closer.
Disagree.
I completely, really,
Yes.
Well, I will
Why is
argue with
that?
you outside of the podcast.
let's argue about it now.
Okay, tell me
Why
why
is
you
that?
disagree.
Yeah, let's.
You said that it's unfulfilling.
Yes, it's unfulfilling.
I find that every day I'm learning so many new things. They're immediately at my fingers.
I'm not talking about learning. I'm talking about human fulfillment and dealing with
just-
people and a community.
Yeah, like even just, on certain Reddit subreddits, which are an internet community pretty exclusively, just some of the inside jokes, seeing them again and again. Like I'm sitting there just like, oh God, these guys, like they're so great. Or every group chat that I have, especially being a woman in what, I don't know that it's a man's field anymore, but it used to be a man's field. And having, I have multiple group chats with multiple women where it's technology is how we keep up. We trade secrets, like not like, oh, I kissed Joey, but
Right.
like, hey, this is what I do in this courtroom. You should try it.
Yeah.
This is a motion I wrote. It's working with these. I think like I have a lot of community with technology, especially being a person that has moved out of my original community. The information highway connects me to people, around the world. And I'm still old school. Like I love snail mail. I'm probably one of the few millennials that is like waiting out the window for that. But having that connection is fulfilling. It's fulfilling to have the real connection and to have the internet connection, because like you have a family at home.
Right.
It's me and my dog and all my friends that I fit in this phone.
Right.
So I have that community all the time when I need to rely on them. And, if I'm lonely, but it's late at night because I woke up because I can't sleep, I just go to Reddit and I'm, scrolling down, having a good time.
I think a big part of what you're saying and what you're saying, and I can kind of tie them together, the internet and what you do with the device, it is what you make it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It's exactly what you make it. So if you want to be active on the internet and have an alias, have a face that's not your own, you can be whatever you want. You know, so but you could also be as transparent as you want. I'm very transparent with my life. I don't hide anything. I don't hide my child. I don't hide what I do. I'm transparent, but I'm not a flashy person. That's not where I stand in this world. I'm not trying to be a flashy person. It's just not energy I'm trying to expend. I expend it more with my head, like thinking about things rather than, like me getting the most flashiest of clothing or the flashiest of this. I'm just like, you know what? I would rather use my time and my energy to see what I can make of this world and maybe one day be worth a Wikipedia page kind of a thing with what happens in my head. But like, it is what you make it. I've built my internet presence. Facebook likes to throttle me because I do sell things. I am a business owner. So like Facebook doesn't like to work with that unless we're paying money toward it. And that is just the nature of the beast. They run it. Meta runs the show. So, but there's the tools put in front of me, and I do what I can with the tools that are available. And it is what you make it. It is literally, if you want to go online and you just want to like do like a workout thing and you just work out videos all day long, people might think you live in the gym. They might think that's all you have. That's period. But you got a family, you have friends, you go out, you do a bunch of things. You go out on the weekends, you party, but no one sees that because all they see is your, Jane Doe fitness. Right. And like you make it that way. But then you might have a side page that is like, oh, this is my social page. This is my people make OnlyFans. They make different things, which right. But
I thought
wait. Ask Dave what he thought OnlyFans was.
Oh, all right.
I didn't know what OnlyFans. I thought OnlyFans, and this is up until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I thought it was like a thing for like insider sports bets. I had no idea. It was
only
that makes
kind
of genius.
That actually really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I thought it was something a subscription thing where people would try to get like, oh shit, the Knicks are going to like score, are going to score this many points tonight. So bet, I thought it was a sports betting thing.
You thought it was
hysterical because we have so many sex-based cases.
One of those, but I didn't
like
know until that
what
was the George Santos thing where the congressman in New York. I was like, because I didn't know. I really didn't know. I thought
Dave was like that poor man and his gambling addiction.
I thought it was one of those things where people used it for like, there's guys you can pay in Vegas like get my lock of the week, my extra. I thought it was that.
It's just really hot naked girls telling you sports tips while they're doing
only NFLfans.com. Buy it right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Only NBA, MLB, choose your sport kits. We can all make it. There's your brand.
Only sportsfans.com.
They have a little Bengals tattoo, where.
Yeah. We can make it.
That website's got to be worth money. Only sportsfans.com.
Only sports fans.
That's
only
the
brands,
thing
only bands
about this area.
Only stands.
Having lived in Las Vegas for a while, I had never been to a place in my life like this. I remember going to my first Reds game here. And people were sitting with a bunch of people from eastern Kentucky behind me. They would put $10 bets on at the end of the inning.
Where the baseball lands.
Yeah, mound ball.
Yep.
And I was like, are you shitting me?
I couldn't believe it either,
I was
dude.
like, you guys got a problem, man.
These guys are betting like there's like 5 options. It's like the ball comes back to the mound. Does it roll over the mound and go back onto the grass? Does the pitcher give the ball to the umpire? There was like 5 different things.
It was double money if it stood in the hole that was dug right before the pitcher. The thing.
If the ball rolled back and it stayed on the mound.
If it was touching the rubber on the mound at the center, it was double money. And and towards the end of the game, by the time these guys were 8 to 10 beers into this, it was like went from $10 bets, $150. And she's like, I'm just like, you guys have got a problem.
That's how Dave made his
Pete
first
Rose's
friends
town.
here.
Over a placement of a ball on the.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Well, a true gambler
really,
can bet on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do let you bet on anything. They let you bet. What was it? They used to let you bet on like what Tom Brady was going to come out wearing. There was something with Tom Brady. Tom Brady always had bets. Everyone wanted to bet on Tom Brady. When he was coming out with like, I don't remember what it was, whether it was a towel or some when he was wearing certain things, but like people would just bet on what Tom Brady was doing because he was such a polarized. He's like,
he was everybody because every Sunday when Tom Brady was playing for the either the Bucks or the Patriots, that was always the game.
Always.
You were always one of the national TV stations.
Yeah.
You were getting the New England Patriots game.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
You know, it was just announced that he was gonna try to come back for 2023 season.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was contemplating unretiring for it. Yeah, I mean, think about it from his perspective. He sees the league where, like, outside of like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and maybe Burrow and Josh Allen, there's really not a lot of things standing in his way.
But if
No,
I hate to say it, if you can't put Burrow in that out, because honestly, that is the dumbest
Hot
thing
take,
I
Dave.
have ever seen in my life.
What?
I mean, I love pro sports like anybody, but the poor, I have told everybody, if you want to start hating professional sports, move to Cincinnati, Ohio,
Yeah,
because
We're-
the Bengals will break your heart.
they will break your heart.
The
Yeah.
Reds have broken your. They
So, do you think Burrow gets a Super Bowl?
no.
That's a confident no.
That's a confident no.
Why is that?
Joe Burrow in his rookie year does what happens to him? Tears his ACL, right?
He's hurt a lot. Yes.
Okay. What does the brain trust for the Cincinnati Bengals do that year? Who did they draft? Number one, the year that their starting quarterback, their franchise quarterback, tears his ACL. Who do they draft? Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Who's the
They left Panay.
Penei Sewell,
Yeah.
who right now, as Dan Campbell is taking the Detroit Lions to the playoffs for the first time in how many years? Dan Campbell will say to everybody, this team will go as far as who will take us? Penei Sewell.
It's true.
Okay? You
True.
don't count, listen, I played football enough to know this. If you're a little guy in the backfield, who's your best friend? The offensive lineman, because they keep some really angry, mean people off of you.
It's true.
Where's Joe Burrow now? He's nursing recovering from surgery on his wrist from
Yeah.
getting hit.
Yeah.
You know,
And still worried about his legs. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of dynamic going on with him.
here's the problem. If you, and I will say this to anybody, this will be one of the last thing I say about sports, because I can tell she's about to kill me. If you drill, if you drill
Yes.
for
There's not a lot
oil,
of sports fans that watch. So.
if you drill for oil anywhere on this planet, Lamar Hunt, who owns the Kansas City Chiefs, builds the part that drills for the oil, correct? If you drill for oil anywhere on the planet, Jerry Jones sells you the part that Lamar Hunt made. He owns the Cowboys. If you get a paper cut or a cut of any kind while you're on an oil field anywhere in the world, Woody Johnson, who owns the New York Jets, sells you the Band-Aid. Okay? Your
It's a
office building,
conspiracy.
your office building,
So much knowledge.
your office building, who you're leasing, probably in New York or Boston or someplace like that. Bob Kraft owns all the office space. He used to own Gillette, okay, but he owns the office space.
Gillette Stadium.
The DeBartolo family from Youngstown, Ohio, own the San Francisco 49ers. What do? They built shopping malls. Okay, the best one is
It's an outdated fortune.
the outdated fortune, but they made a fortune. They're billionaires.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. The owner of the L.A. Rams, okay, he married a young lady by the name of Walton. His daddy he's from Missouri. I think his name's Stan Kroenke.
Yeah.
Stan, when he married the girl from the Walton family, and I don't mean the Waltons from the TV show. I mean Walmart Waltons.
We know.
Okay. He came up with the bright idea to Sam Walton before he died, and he said, "Listen, you guys are building these WalMarts all over the country. How about if you let me build a little strip next to them, and I can put like a Chinese restaurant or a haircut place or something people
Genius.
can."
Yeah.
Right. He owns all those. Guess what he owns in addition to the Rams? The Colorado Avalanche, an English Premier League soccer team, something, I think the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Rockies. So the problem, all of these football owners own something, right? What does Mike Brown and the Brown family own? The Cincinnati Bengals.
It's just yeah.
That's it. So
Yeah.
their profit is completely tied to that team. So they're not geared towards anything other than making money on that level. It's a toy to everybody else, and they're willing to put these fabulous stadiums together. I mean, I got lucky enough at a UC game when UC was playing and they were redoing Nippert to go over to Paul Brown, when it was still called Paul Brown before Paycor, and I sat in one of the box seats.
Paycor was the Payjo.
Yeah. It was IKEA-type
Just saying.
furniture. There was nothing special about their suites at the time. It was kind of like just pedestrian. I mean, honestly.
David didn't want to hang out with these pores.
But I'm just saying, there's nothing at Paycor Stadium that makes you go, wow.
He says, I want to
Yeah.
hang out with the billionaires.
But if you go to Jerry World in Dallas,
Yeah.
it's incredible. Even Nissan, which they're tearing Nissan Stadium down in Nashville and redoing that. So the problem with the Bengals is this: the Bengals, it's a family business, and that's.
You don't think that family could win a Super Bowl though?
I don't think so. I don't think so. 'Cause
I want them to.
Their
I'm better
offense
than,
is pretty prolific.
as a
when
Fairweather
Joe's
fan,
healthy.
I want them
As a Fairweather
to
fan.
win even more than you do.
Yeah, I knew you did.
But here's the thing.
They're Schrodinger's cat. Okay, remember Edward Schrodinger, the great physics thing? You can know the speed of something or you can know the position of something, but you can't know both. The Bengals, you can have a great offense and a mediocre defense. Or you can have a good offense and a good defense, but your special teams are probably going to kill you. There's just never enough to go around.
Okay,
It doesn't have when James Harrison came here, he brought his own masseuse. I mean, listen to Chris Collinsworth when he talked about like the old spiny field days.
Yeah.
These free agents would come here, they'd have to pay for their Gatorade, out of the machine.
Yeah, I thought that was
you had to
silly,
drink.
yeah.
You had to drink.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
Yeah, they should not be paying for any of that.
Right, but until now, I don't know if they're still doing it.
I assume they're not.
But
But-
it seems
I mean,
like
it
it would be a
took-
nominal
we were the,
Actually,
cost.
I-
we were the last team to get an.
Indoor practice. You see,
You already knew what
the
I was gonna say.
Bearcats had an indoor practice
For
facility
the Bengals, yes.
Right, and now God love the Bengals.
Yeah.
Even they screw that up
Yeah.
because seriously, where do they put that? Next to the goddamn cement and sand pit.
Yeah, they
next to
put it there.
I mean, you look at these. If you watch like the HBO, the
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks series.
Yeah.
I mean, you sit there like they went up to Indianapolis. Indianapolis is owned by by the guy the Irsay family, right?
Yeah.
So massive amounts of money.
He's an interesting owner.
He is. But look at their practice facility. It's like I'm surprised they don't have guys pick the players up at the car and take them on a golf cart to their locker and
Yeah.
do everything they want to them. It's just not like that here.
I think I heard that they still charge for the drinks. Like they got to pay for them. If like there's a little vending machine there that's not free, you got to still put money in.
Yeah.
You can't just. That's
offensive.
That's cringy to me.
Especially when the NFL is like sponsored by Gatorade, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, the least you can do is make sure the athletes are, at least hydrated, covered with food, like good to go.
we could be wrong about all this. That
We could be. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
The fact that it was ever an issue is a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the problem. Let's stick with the facts.
Yeah.
What do they have now? Do they have a real great indoor practice facility? No, they got a bubble.
They've
They got a bubble like UC
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, and we can all see it from the interstate. There's no need for conspiracy theorists here, kids.
Right.
But you go less than 100 miles where Jackie's getting ready to go up to Indianapolis to eat at one of my favorite steakhouses in the world, going to St. Elmo's, apparently. But you go to Indianapolis, miles outside of town, there's this plush practice facility. Nowhere near the stadium, because the players don't want to have to deal with a commute into a city to a stadium.
Fair.
Right.
No, they go out to the suburbs. They're commuting the wrong way.
Right.
And they can spend their days in peace and tranquility preparing for, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Browns, they have a practice facility in Berea, so their players don't have to deal with downtown traffic.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it is this: they don't have to worry about the lake effect snows.
Right.
And let's not forget, that practice facility is 2 years old. And it's next to it. All they did was plop it over their existing practice facility.
Yeah, they just covered it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the players still have to. I mean,
They have to walk across the street.
they have to walk across the
Yeah,
street.
I saw a video. I saw a video of
that's
them
not
having to walk across the street with their helmets. Jamar Chase was walking across. Like you have Jamar Chase, who we talked about earlier, walking across the street to go to practice facility. There's just a little bit.
There's no subterranean passageway?
No.
No, they have to walk across the street. Yeah.
And this is a city.
Yeah,
Remember,
no.
remember
I've
when
seen
they,
I've
when
seen
they
the video
opened
of
Paul
it.
Brown Stadium? The guy. Do you remember this? This is a true story. The guy who was drunk and paraplegic, and he didn't want his friend who was more drunk than him to drive the car. So this is
No, I definitely would have
went
remembered
into
this
Remember, he
story.
went into the crowd of people as they were going into Paul Brown Stadium when it was still called Paul Brown Stadium. It's like
Yeah.
a year or two after it opened, and he was trying to control the feet because he couldn't use his legs. He was trying to use his hands
shit.
on the gas pedal and the brake pedal.
What?
And look, yeah, he could because he was paralyzed from the waist down. But he was, even though he was drunk, his friend was even more drunk, and they wanted to get to the game on time.
Yeah.
So he hit a crowd of pedestrians.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that happened when Paul Brown Stadium was open.
Oh,
Missed that
Yeah.
one.
missed that one.
Oh, well,
That
you
was-
were probably in junior high.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Well,
whole-
what year did Paul Brown Stadium open?
What was it? 2002, 2000. When did Paul
Yeah,
Brown-
we were children.
I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't very, but yeah. I mean,
What a rough history.
listen.
What a rough history. But I think that the Burrow era has brought us new light, and where I disagree on
Carson
this-
Palmer.
Carson Palmer was treated. That whole situation.
Carson Palmer was
I
treated like gold when he was still here, like
Yes,
Joe Burrow.
He was, but once he got hurt, his whole life went down. Everything changed for that the Bengals organization and him. We couldn't recover from there. So Burrow, this new era, I do think Burrow brings home a Super Bowl though. I'm hoping Cincinnati. I'm hoping they treat him to the point where he doesn't ever choose to leave. I do think
It's
Burrow
$255 million. It's going to be hard for him to leave.
275.
275 because he's going to have to do what Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer, if you remember when he left Cincinnati, he was going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. They were offering him Burrow type numbers for the era, and he said, "Keep your $50 million.
My house is already on the market.
I'm not coming back."
Yeah.
And he has, they're the Schrodinger's cat of the NFL. You can have an offense, but you can't have a defense. Or you can have an offense and a defense, but you can't have special teams.
Yeah.
And there's no player there's not a real player. Who's their general manager now? I mean, I think they do have somebody now, but
The GM.
at one point he was he used to be the athletic director at Moeller High School. That was his qualification.
Well,
was
now-
it Tobin? Dick Tobin?
Shh, don't look at me.
Yeah.
You know I don't know that.
You know?
But here's the thing with the Bengals, though. I will say they are in this new era with the AFC North. So where we were the butt of the joke for a long time, now when we enter a season, we're a highlight. We are getting primetime games more
You are.
naturally, though. So
You have listen, Joe Burrow is honestly one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Jamar Chase is phenomenal. The problem is this: you've got to be able to give. Burrow's not a Lamar Alexander. He's not a guy who's going to be able to escape the pocket and get you yards on busted plays. He's a pocket passer.
yeah, well, but he also is a quick decision maker. So big part of quarterbacking, because he doesn't have to run like Lamar. He doesn't
Right.
have to do those different dynamics. All he has to do
Well, I
is
think his
be-
surgeon would disagree with you. I think his surgeon would be saying, "No, Joe,
because
run, run, damn it, Joe."
right, because the O line collapses really quickly, which is unfortunate because they've picked up all the best O line guys in the country until the O line guys are in their second half of their
Everybody
career.
for the Bengals always says it, but let me ask
their
you
second
this.
half of career.
That's the problem.
Yes, I
Okay?
agree.
I mean, it's
I agree.
no NFL team gives up a premier offensive lineman.
The Buccaneers gave up who was protecting Tom Brady, and he wasn't protecting Joe Burrow.
Yeah, but probably they gave up on him. Why?
Because
Because
it was
they
dumb.
realized he was at the end of his career.
Yes. So we overpaid for him.
You-
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But with Burrow himself, like, he has come from the top of the mountain in college. He had the best
Yes.
college season a quarterback can have. He's already seen the level of success, so he knows what it's like, and he's tasted that. So is Jamar Chase. So I mean, a lot of these guys, T. Higgins has. A lot of these guys have seen it, so they know what it takes. But the O line is our biggest Achilles heel. It's literally the only thing that's keeping us from that Super Bowl bound type of situation is the O line. The defense is opportunistic. They're one of the highlights of this year. The offense.
I would disagree with you on the defense. I
Yeah?
think the defense is okay, but I don't. I think they're missing a playmaker in the linebacker position.
No, I agree. I like.
I love their defensive backs. I think their safeties and defensive backs. I like Hubbard. I like what Hendrickson's brought. But
Anderson's good, man.
I tell you what,
Hubbard's great.
Hubbard's great. But
Yeah.
I tell you, if you could have Takeo Spikes
I
in
can
his
hear him.
prime.
Yeah. Takeo Spikes.
Oh, if you could have Takeo
Yeah.
Spikes on this team on his prime, then I'd say you got a shot.
So, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year then? You think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? Do you think, Patrick Mahomes is going to step up and get himself a Super Bowl? Who do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think it's going to be an NFC team? Do you think the Cowboys have a shot? Do you
I don't think it's going to be the Cowboys. I
think
think
the 49ers?
I like either the 49ers or Philadelphia scares me because Philadelphia is capable of putting a streak together.
They're struggling right now.
They're struggling right now, and I don't understand why because I think they have the pieces.
Yeah, I don't know what
and they started off gangbusters.
Yeah.
Same with the 49ers. I thought the 49ers on paper. 49ers.
Yeah,
look
I think they're going to be in the Super Bowl. I think it's a Ravens 49ers Super Bowl.
I don't see anybody in the NFC right now knocking the Ravens off. I
totally agree.
They looked.
They're the best team.
The
top
Dolphins,
to bottom.
honestly,
Got whooped.
and I
They
thought
put
were
50
pretty
up
good.
on them.
Yeah, yeah. They
To what, 19?
They made them look bad.
They made them look really bad.
Yeah.
I was very shocked by that because I thought it would be a shootout. They'd be
I did
like
too.
40-45, whatever.
Yeah.
Nah, they were like, we're just gonna crush your
Yeah.
defense is gonna be solid because the Ravens have a great defense,
Yes, they are.
great offense, even solid special teams, and they've got one of the highest injury rates in the entire NFL the last 3 years. If you remember last year and the
Yeah,
year
they do.
before, they've lost all their players and they still seem to make it. So that might be on John Harbaugh,
Yeah.
the coach and like their staff, but Lamar Jackson is a huge factor. I mean, Lamar Jackson's stats before this weekend, he was he's 52 wins, 20 losses, and now it's like 50, it's 52 and 20, and then it has just changed. But like, he's just so good. Without him, they're 4-9.
Yeah.
Without Lamar Jackson, they're 4-9. With
I
him,
agree with that.
52 and
I don't
20.
know. He does something, and I'm not just saying this because Tyler Huntley's a Utah kid, but Tyler Huntley's a legitimate backup quarterback.
Yeah.
It's just, and I'll say
yeah.
this about Jake Browning. I told people I've watched Jake Browning because he's a Washington guy,
Yeah.
and he got hurt right before that Apple Cup game when they played Washington State the last year. He was projected to go at least a second-round pick, and he went undrafted because he was injured.
Yeah.
And I've told everybody, Jake Browning. My biggest fear is Jake Browning. The Bengals won't be able to keep him next year because I think he's proven that he can start in this league. How'd you like to see Jake Browning quarterbacking for the Steelers?
I actually said that. I thought they was
Yep.
trying out for the Steelers or trying out for maybe the Vikings or trying out for there's a couple of Washington, even though Sam Howell's doing all right, but I
Yeah.
think there's an opportunity there. Or he might be trying out for there's a possibility for the Raiders, depending on because there's a lot to be because Jake Browning really proved himself because how many yards, but he also showed that his decision making is he's premature on his decisions. He's throwing the ball way too quick to
Right.
the defense and giving the defense way too many
Yeah, I agree
opportunities.
with you on that.
So
but he's shown he has the arm.
he's shown he's got the arm.
He's
put
got the
300 a
accuracy.
game. Yep.
Yeah, and the thing about it is this: you get him in a system like Pittsburgh's system, which does protect the quarterback well. That worries me having him in this division. I'll tell you another place he could wind up because how much do you think Flacco is going to sign a long-term deal with the Browns? Flacco's probably my age.
I'm surprised. He's having a great
He is
comeback tour or
Right.
whatever
He
this is.
absolutely never saw. Who saw that one coming?
Yeah, like
I thought he was.
can you imagine him win the Super Bowl?
I don't.
That would be.
I've got a Browns fan.
That would be
fan in
wild.
my family, and I don't want to think about the Browns.
Yeah, me either.
winning.
Me either.
It's
I mean, I was already disgusted with the fact that they gave Deshaun Watson that much money and who
yeah.
he is. I just don't agree with that
No.
human.
Wait, why do we not like him?
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
We were talking about the internet late. Yeah,
Yeah.
he really did some bad things.
What does
Yeah.
he do?
He
His
Massage
there.
parlors.
yeah, he was.
Oh,
a-
this got me way more interested than the
he-
other.
yeah, so he
sports
would basically
players.
have private
Masseuses.
masseuses, over 26 different cases of sexual assault on his masseuses.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 26. And
26.
2 were thrown out.
And the Browns family.
Is this a civil suit or are these criminal charges?
It's civil.
They tried to do
They do.
criminal.
They tried criminal, but they are civil.
Yeah,
But the NFL didn't come down on him. They let him go out one season.
Yeah,
they let him
set
sit
him
out
up.
one
Is it
season. But
because- it's probably because it wasn't criminal.
yeah, that's exactly why it wasn't. But the NFL is still condoning it, letting him, be like just free to be in the game without any because now like people aren't even talking about it. But to me, it was just I don't know. I lost a lot of respect, even though I wasn't a huge, obviously, Browns fan because of the Bengals, but like I'm just not a fan. The whole organization decisions, like
Yeah,
nah.
you don't want that bad juju.
No,
on the-
dude.
on the
Like
team.
you don't. He should like. And don't get me
Andrew's
wrong.
not even stopping at pilot stations getting gas now. Are you?
Nah, bro. And here's the thing: is like I used to like Deshaun Watson when he was in Houston. I was a fan.
Yeah.
Arian Foster.
Is that the one that we were just
Deshaun-
talking about?
Yeah, he was in
Okay.
Houston. He was in Houston before. He was an
Yeah.
all-star quarterback, great, top tier. And then all the stuff started to happen about allegations coming out after 2, 3 different girls coming out. I'm like, oh, he did this, he did this.
Yeah, it
he
wasn't
forced-
1, 2, 3, or 4. It was 26.
In
Yeah.
different states or all
There
in
was
one
like 15 to
state?
start, and then more came out, more girls came out. But it was all in Houston.
Wow.
All in Houston. And because he would go from girl to girl to girl, and he would just...
He would get kicked out and just go back to the next one.
girl,
That's
yeah, because he's
crazy.
Deshaun Watson. He was like literally the center of that city.
But
was what, the
but at
number
the
one
same
draft?
time,
Him
you're-
and James
you're-
Harden,
You're
that's it.
Deshaun Watson, bro. Like you don't have to do that dumb shit.
Right, dude, you can do it. You can go at any club and you're just fine, bro. Like you're, but
I would just say that
but then
I
they
feel
gave
like
him
there's
guaranteed money.
so many athletes that they give a pass to, and by they I mean I guess the powers that be that hire them and everything else for so many different little crimes. Not that that's little, but it's just like that's not a surprise to me as an outsider.
sure, right, but it is a thing where when there's 24 to 26 cases of something, there's not an accident. There's not a happenstance at this point. That is all but a fact, and like
As criminal defense attorneys, we would immediately disagree with that.
fair. I totally agree. I totally get it. But if you shoot your shot 26 times, unless it's maybe the lottery, you're most likely going to see some success. So if 26 times is something happening and it's the same report over and over again, if that duck doesn't have a bill, it's not a duck. That duck has a bill. And it's a duck. And in my opinion, he shouldn't have any opportunity to be in the NFL. Nonetheless, getting the most guaranteed money from any quarterback in the history of the NFL. He had all guaranteed money. If Deshaun Watson never steps his foot on a football field from the time he set that contract, he's guaranteed all the money. It doesn't matter. And meanwhile, he can do whatever he wants with these, it's just, I don't know. It was sickening to me, and I'm not a big fan. And I was a huge fan of him, which is crazy because I used to pick him up on fantasy football because he was consistent. But now, nah, you can stay on waivers, bro. I'm cool. But like, it's just I don't know. It gave me a sour taste of the NFL in general, and I love football. I mean, I'm a basketball fan first, but dude, like you can't give these people passes. Like what? Like because he's a good athlete? No, dude. Like that doesn't matter. Like we talked about earlier, we're all human.
Right.
If you're treating
Yeah.
humans like that, and that's how you're navigating your life, like nah, you don't need to be on the spotlight every Sunday being something that kids are looking up to. Nah, no way. So many kids come in here looking up to Burrow for the right reasons. You know,
Yeah.
they come in here and they want to get the Joe Burrow shirts, with ice in his veins because
That's
they
the
love
only
it.
Bengals gear I have is the Joe
Hey.
Burrow shirt from Native. I bought for the Super Bowl for my friend to wear, and now it fits me.
Yeah, perfect.
And then I need a new Harambe shirt because I wore it until it got a hole. And then I
No.
had the Harambe sweatshirt, but I gave it to my friend when she went back to LA.
Oh, okay.
Appreciate you showing the love. We'll make sure we stock that closet back up for you.
Yeah, but we're about to wrap this up though. We've had quite a podcast though. It's been a good time learning your guys' perspective as the defense side of things, because I think a lot of people when they think lawyer they think like custody, or they think like different dynamics, but like the defense side of things, defense attorney, like you never think about the people that are I'm sure you guys have repeat offenders that are coming hitting you up often, so like those
We
dynamics.
have some, like we said earlier, we don't totally.
No.
We try to prevent them from being repeat.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah,
clients.
exactly. But like that's the side of things that I don't think people really get. You know, they don't get that angle of things. They don't get that where like because that's the other side because people usually avoid being in that position, so they don't really know who even to call. But we should go to like social media handles and how they can get a hold of you because that's how.
So David will not be having any social media handles because he found out what they were today. But I, you know, we don't have our firm on social media. Really, we let our work speak for itself. But as far as, you know, personally, I have what I call my Artstagram where I share my thoughts, and that's at Stamp Still Girl. But also for people that want to reach us for anything legal, you know, you can go to our website. It's www.mayerlawky.com. And that has our emails that direct to us. Or you can always give us a call. Our main number is 859-757-2789. You know, we get a lot of calls where people are just starting in the criminal justice system and they don't even know what they need to know to ask the questions they need to ask. And, you know, honestly, as a parting thought, what I meant to tell you guys earlier, and it kind of slipped my mind, I would love anyone listening here, whether it's us or one of our, you know, esteemed colleagues in the criminal defense community, but if you're ever in trouble or you think you might be in trouble, you know, reach out to the attorney before rather than later. We can't fix or undo what's been done. So you always want to go in with, you know, what Dave always says, with, you know, your right to an attorney. You want to take advantage of that. It's there for a reason.
Hey,
It's about smart. Mitigating damages sometimes, and it's about trying to prevent things in the future. Don't dig if you find yourself in a hole, you can't dig your way out of it. Put the shovel down.
Yeah.
Put the shovel down. Put your hand up, and somebody will help. Hopefully, will help pull you out of the hole.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's the way to do it.
And that's what you're here for.
Yeah.
To take that shovel and help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that number was 859-75-PARTY.
Is it really?
Sure is.
No, it's not.
859-79-PARTY.
The favors have looked upon me.
Yeah,
There
there you go.
Party.
Guys, thanks for having us.
Absolutely,
That's
man. So we're actually, this right here is the trusted lawsuit from
Beautiful.
HYPERCOLOR. So this is the HYPERCOLOR, Jay Banks and Vance Van Drake versus Exude LLC. So this is like thousands of pages that Dave wants to take a look at and see if there's any merit to this, because the reason why I was sued was for unfair competition. That means that they were trying to bring it back for 3 years and been unsuccessful. So they weren't able to prove it, but they filed it in New York, so I had to lose the trademark. But
He just got outsmarted.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
They
And
just
so
Outmoneyed.
outmoneyed, yeah.
Yeah.
Not outsmarted, because I was the one that stole their golden egg.
But you
right?
outsmarted them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
They got
gotcha.
outsmarted.
Oh, yeah.
They got outsmarted, and they were like, we're really not going to let this guy do this.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah.
So, but the HYPERCOLOR stuff, I really think that there's some longevity there. I think there's a way that we might be able to bring it back, and I don't see why we wouldn't be able to sue them for the same thing they sued us for, unfair competition. I was trying to bring it back the past 3 years. You know, we've got the product, we've got the website. I still own HYPERCOLOR.com, HYPERCOLORclothing.com. You know, all those things. Plus, we've got the trademarks, the words, the clothes, everything that they don't have.
Guys, I will tell you this: I'm not a trademark attorney or patent attorney or anything like that. But I just from a purely intellectual reason, I'd like to take a look at it and just see what it says.
Absolutely, man. There's a lot of jargon in there that I don't understand. So if you can understand any of it, I just there's got to be a way for David to beat Goliath, right? Like there's,
With an attorney that handles trademarks.
Yeah.
For the record, Mayer Law PLLC does not have malpractice insurance for trademarks.
I do understand that trademark patent attorneys are well versed in that, and you guys are well versed in the criminal aspect of it. So, but this is just something that I did want to bring to the attention, bring it to the table to see, because I have a feeling once you guys look at this, you're going to say, "Whoa, there's a lot on the table here that he could be." The cool thing about HYPERCOLOR is you didn't need some fancy designs or some like intricate photo for the shirt to really sell. It was like the name was Gold Dust is what we called it, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of those things where we didn't want to lose the trademark, and people were like, hey, just come up with a new name. And it's like, yeah, we came up with Touch Me Tees and we launched it and it did real well, but it faded out. And we're just that Gold Dust is people are waiting for it. That HYPERCOLOR, everyone's still asking for it. You can still hashtag today, and you'll see people on Instagram going, "What happened to HYPERCOLOR? Where's it at?" So we're trying to let them know. So I appreciate you guys for coming down here, being a part of it, and sticking around later than you guys wanted to.
I appreciate it.
So shout out to Duffified, Liquid Death, and One Heart Medical for always sponsoring the podcast. We appreciate you guys. If you guys want to be a part of the podcast, comment or DM one of us and we'll get you on. Yeah. And until then, this has been another episode of the PowWow.
I will say thank you, Jackie, for sponsoring Beyond the Stage and being a big part of that.
Yeah.
Our next one is January 25th with Kevin McCoy.
That'd be a big one right there.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Kevin McCoy, the Kevin McCoy Band. We'll be sitting down. Hello. We'll be sitting down with him, and we'll be hearing his music and talking it out. And Thursday, January 25th. Hope to see you all there, and we'll see what happens. It's gonna be exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, appreciate you all.
All right, I'm gonna end
much.
it off on a little video of me messing around with these little HYPERCOLOR shirts.
Let's go. Later, guys.
All right, everybody. Peace. How are you guys? Doing good. Yeah, so these are the HYPERCOLOR shirts there. So each one of them changes color when you breathe on it. About 82 degrees, orange to yellow. Look at that eyeball, bro. That eyeball is insane. Dude, it was a pleasure. All right, everybody, that's it. We'll see you next week. Later.